That's persnickety, they're all persnickety.
It
Yeah.
just turned without.
Well, then you did it one time too many.
Just kept turning.
Well, I'm doing a tutorial. And the only reason I don't have trouble is I do it every day and I know exactly what you're supposed to do.
Check out Mr. Bootlegger here. He can't decide if he's a Jim Beam man or a Chris Mark man.
It's my niece's, my niece helped to me, it's free. I wasn't gonna wear my hat, but I looked in and saw you were wearing one, so I said that.
But if you're gonna wear it, I was gonna take it
Yeah,
off.
yeah,
I just was
yeah.
wearing it. I've been wearing it.
If it gets too hot,
It
I'll
was-
take it off.
Well, it was really, really windy and I hate like my hair looking. I hate my hair looking like crazy. So I put the hat on as I was walking from the office to the metro and I'm
I'm here.
not taking it off, but.
I think it's
That's just our guys, technical guys bag.
that's a technical.
Barbara, how you doing?
You? Okay.
I'm interested, hi, Ron.
John?
Now that he's been
Do you have
reelected,
anything written up on the dog waste issue?
you have it all.
I
You
don't.
wanna put it, yeah, you do, it's for Mary, it's only, so what we need is, there's two, I'm here.
John,
But you,
you're the host, right?
He's already
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna just make this one yeah, so that it can,
I never saw you even listen to Jim Gaffigan.
What'd you say?
Jim Gaffigan. No, oh, okay. He does the most hilarious thing about
About 30 underwear?
Yeah, he is. hilarious.
Microphone is free.
Here's the wine.
There's some in the fridge if you want to.
Yeah.
I will fall asleep.
There's.
Can I put it, I'll just put it in here. Everybody will think I have coffee. Oh, I'm fine.
The red's under the refrigerator.
No, the red is not, it's on
Oh.
it's on the counter, the white is in the refrigerator, there's beers in the refrigerator.
Yeah, there you go.
Cookies are on the table. And there's juice, some kind of juice.
Are the Catholics in there too, or just
Pardon me?
Catholics too?
No,
Your mom was
it's
so
it's a
cute.
sea raspberry flavor.
Your mom was so cute.
What did you tell my mom?
What do you, me? Yeah, are you serious?
Well, you did, you came over, that's right.
Did you guys remove that big branch or this?
Yeah, we did.
When did you do that? RJ would have taken it.
It was bad to see how many big trees I found.
Wow, I was
We're
surprised.
taking a bunch of yard waste anyway.
I look at that every day thinking, and it was like, it's gone.
No,
I'm gonna make.
Any properties get damaged
I was at the dump
that
today.
we know of? Any
It was-
structures?
No.
That's a minor.
Oh, the yard waste, the amount of, just the mountains of it.
The trucks today were unbelievable.
Back up.
You can flip a coin to John.
Welcome, John.
Yeah.
I'll go this way.
Cans of
Somebody,
paint and one.
That's right.
there are cords here,
Propane.
too many cords. All right,
Mary?
you got that.
Hey, Don.
Oh, yeah, and it was like, I know where stuff, once you know where the stuff goes.
You bring your family Bible to?
It's
Did I bring my family Bible?
Hey, that's what it looks like.
What?
I think that's what it meant.
Oh.
So John, do you have
You
that?
do the swearing in tonight.
All right, what was
Oh,
I
it's
supposed to have?
For Mary. Mary sent out an email with 3 docs in it.
When was that? Did I-
That's right, I got it right up. I
Okay.
got copies.
Yeah, but we.
No, no, we need to show.
Oh, did you get it?
I have them, I have the PDFs.
Yeah, I must
can
have
find
it
it
if you sent it out. huh?
So
It was a while ago, it was a while ago.
I have them saved on my computer, but
I can find out
we
when I
don't
sent it.
share, do we?
But how long ago was it?
I'll tell you.
Mary Moorfield, testing. Testing,
Hmm.
selection 2, I
Yeah, I've been getting emails to some non-existent
Five,
email
yeah.
address. Well, I wonder why I
Seven.
wasn't getting anything.
Council report, annual, vacant house. Or, no,
That's just people entering.
I can tell you what day it is.
Couple.
why don't you
Yeah.
send them?
Do you
to
want me
me?
to let those people in? John?
Oh,
You got
Oh, you want me to-
people joining the waiting room?
Yes,
Right.
don't
Okay.
worry, somebody's, I've given somebody,
Okay.
we're covered.
Okay, cool.
Uh, Use iPhone as webcam.
Mary,
You
there you go, poop,
find it?
poop, poop, poop. You want the date?
Yeah, but
I'm a little bit ahead of myself. here.
I have all Mary's stuff and it goes back to 4.
I'll just forward it to you.
Reach, I'm just gonna turn.
Well, how was it titled?
Not poop.
Here it is. Alright, so it was set on April 12th.
Yeah, so that's the one I'm looking at. That's as a proposal. You guys have to use better subjects.
What
Oh.
You can't find email.
When you say you got.
Oh, yeah, it says
Yeah,
for
everyone's
Washington
opinion,
Road.
attached proposal would like to introduce, yes, this is the one.
Not exactly specific.
And there are three.
There are three things.
Hey, John? Can you hear me? This is Chris. Hey, I forgot this isn't in person. Do you want me to pack up and head down that way? I'll be there in about 5.
That's good, that's fine. Yeah.
Okay, I'll be right there.
You want to sign this
Yes.
now?
What makes them think it's in person? Hey, John.
Get rid of this one.
Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Oh, you got your
I
hat.
have it.
Pardon?
Hat day.
Is this half day?
Yeah, yeah.
No.
Again,
Every May.
that subject was not in the email.
Every May, it's every May we wear hats.
Every May. You know,
Yeah. It's on-
would you believe
we
I
started- we started the trend today.
the only hat I have are cowboy hats, and I'm not sure they fit into this.
You got it?
I don't own a baseball cap.
Well, you don't need a hat with your hair, so.
Oh,
you're
okay.
okay.
Oh, this is a quote.
Yeah. There are three. One is their brochure.
I'm not gonna show.
Yeah, just need one or
One
two.
is the quote of the installation of the cans and the other is the service.
That's weird. Oh, so that first one was the price for installation,
Yeah, it's like-
not just the sale, just not the purchase of them?
yeah, it's the
Actually
purchase and,
install-
yes, purchase and,
installation.
yeah, so it's
Okay.
like basically 500 each and then like $200 to put them in. And
Okay,
then the maintenance is if you do it every other week,
Yeah, I
it's
saw
about
that.
17, and if
Yeah.
you do it twice.
yeah, I
every
missed the
week
every
it's-
other week, the
Yeah.
first time I looked at them, because I
Right.
said, why is this one cost more?
Right.
That's not mine. That's a screensaver that pops up. Oh, it is really cool. They're all cool. I spent, and then they go away before I can, like,
Oh.
whenever I want to look at it, it goes away.
Guess
Oh,
I
here.
should have scanned this one. What would you say?
Ah,
Well,
yeah.
yeah,
I mean,
I'll just say,
did we get that? Yeah.
to get that far.
I've got it, now I've got it. But
Yes,
But what are all, I mean, why did, why
don't know.
don't you show any of them?
you might, well,
It's just about,
I mean,
it's what they look like. Oh,
yeah, that's
the
one, that's it. That one you probably need to show because that shows a picture of the difference.
Admiral.
This is the price of
Great names,
installation.
right?
Why don't they have
Yeah.
the commander in chief?
Yeah, the admiral, the admiral.
Mayor.
We want the admiral.
I would think they would be
Just
named
right
after
there,
dogs,
okay.
like the
Yeah.
one would be the Scotty, you know, one would be the
Real-
No,
the little one, you
It's
know?
really the last
Yeah,
thing.
you know, the
Great day.
yeah, the Great Dane, you know, it was like the full service, like
What
the.
does this mean, per week or?
The
per-
rim-
Yeah, but it's every other week in the total annual.
The Rin Tin
That's fine.
Tin, the
You
Lassie,
do it every
Rin Tin
week.
and the
That
Marmaduke. The Marmaduke would be fun for the, that would be the
Marmaduke, yeah.
The Marmaduke.
And then the cost of
You
the
can name them
dog
after cartoon dogs,
bag,
you know?
cheaper ones are the. roll.
Well, I would be naming it after
Mine
Eddie
has been-
Right.
from Frasier.
From Frasier.
Yeah, obviously you don't want Frasier.
I haven't watched Frasier in probably, not the, was this the latest version? The original version?
I actually just watched that, that was about an hour ago.
Right,
I haven't seen that show probably for 23 years.
Oh, God, funny.
Share documents, are you gonna do it from your computer? Okay, so you're a host, so it's fine. And you're good. Okay.
You make sure it works. I mean, it will work fine.
All right.
I
cool.
I
Sounds
don't
good.
have a problem.
So what is the Wi-Fi here? Because I cannot see it on the. Password? No, what is the name of the network?
It does come up, it doesn't just come up.
Yeah.
I
There
think
is
it's-
one in town hall,
town hall.
but I thought there was.
There's no
an
password?
Open one.
It's the same. The password,
What is the password?
town hall.
It doesn't ask me for a password.
Yeah, well, it comes up once you go in once, it just is, it remembers it.
Once you've logged in once, you should, you can.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
But I've
it
never
should,
logged in before.
Oh. Well,
You-
now
you
that's really
expect-
curious.
Is there a password?
well, we're gonna wait for Chris. He was on his.
So he said, what, 5 minutes?
Just because I'm.
Then we lock the door.
And you make
After that.
process in the.
This is a really friendly group, I can tell.
Yeah.
I haven't looked. at it.
Okay, I didn't,
We didn't have
I
to
know,
do it.
I know.
Can I make
But I just give you these.
No.
You don't
That's
need
right.
paper.
You don't need, okay.
No.
I didn't want it to get lost in the shuffle.
No, it isn't. It's
Okay.
it's open on my second.
All right,
But I
okay.
haven't.
Okay, you two can't sit next to each other.
Can I make a suggestion? Our meeting is supposed to start at 7:30 and it's now 7:35.
I'm waiting
He'll
for
be,
this.
he'll be here any minute.
Yeah, we can start. Okay.
Where do you want him to sit? You want him over here where I am and I can put my back to that? Cause I don't care.
Yes.
You jumped at that.
Oh, you can sit over there. Yeah, just over there. You want to see
Let's
things.
start. This
Just
is a much harder seat though. I think I.
Yeah, yeah.
There's other method to your madness. Okay.
Just, you can wheel that chair over. I
Okay.
don't want to have you.
Can everybody hear me? I hope you can hear me online and here. Chris Grisham will be here shortly, but we're going to call the public hearing on ordinance 2025-04 to order. This is adopting the town budget for the coming fiscal year. It's been available. I should just point out, and I guess I have to put it up. Let me do that here. But you should be able to see the budget. Hopefully, is it big enough?
Just.
Not as good as my. There. Okay, yeah, so as you know, the budget was passed at the annual town meeting. The total anticipated revenue was $709,000 and $146,000 additional from reserves. It was anticipated with this budget. In addition, we're going to be spending from our stormwater management funds, which are restricted for that, on top of that budget. So the other aspect of the budget of this ordinance is the tax rate, which is the constant yield tax rate of 0.227 cents on $100 of assessed valuation. Other levies remain the same for public utility and business property. As well, the dwelling tax was set at $212 per dwelling. Okay, any discussion on this? Was introduced at the previous meeting? Any discussion? I'm sorry, anyone here to speak on the public hearing on this? Anybody online? Okay. Since hearing none, we'll call the public hearing to a close. This is kind of a formality, as we all know, and we'll move on to the town council meeting.
Right.
So calling to order. First item is approval of the agenda. And this is Russ. He's here.
Whoa, hey. Oh, you're right here.
You missed the public hearing.
Well, we'll take that later.
So the agenda was in the materials. I have only one alteration here. Apparently I mistakenly named the minutes for approval the March. It's really the April 14th. And in addition, I sent around minutes for the March 18th meeting, which was the budget work session way back when. It was pretty straightforward minutes on that. So let's that's pretty much the agenda. Anybody have any additional comments or anything about the agenda? Let's move to a vote then. All in favor of approving the agenda? I see unanimous vote. The agenda is approved. Okay, the first item on tonight's agenda is council business. Because this is among other things, is the organizing meeting for the for the council, beginning with the May meeting, moving through next April. So the first item of business on that is to administer the oath of office to our two elected council members. We'll start with Mary Warfield, who was reelected. Mary, you need to stand and raise your right hand and repeat after me.
Okay.
Okay. I, Mary Warfield,
I, Mary Warfield,
do affirm that I will support
do affirm that I will support
the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the United States,
and that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance
and that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance
to the state of Maryland,
to the state of Maryland,
and support the Constitution and laws thereof,
and support the Constitution and laws thereof,
and that I will,
and that I will,
to the best of my skill and judgment,
to the best of my skill and judgment,
diligently and faithfully,
diligently and faithfully,
without partiality or prejudice,
without partiality or prejudice,
execute the office of counselor
execute the office of counselor
according to the Constitution and laws of this state
according to the Constitution and laws of this state
and the charter and ordinances of the town of Washington Grove.
and the charter and ordinances of the town of Washington Grove.
Thank you, Mary.
Yeah.
Good. I also should note that I was myself sworn in earlier last week by the clerk of court, which is the first step to empower me to do these oaths.
Did they?
Okay, John.
Did they say you again? What?
I seem to have it, so, you know, by the time I come around, they wonder who the hell is. All right, John Porter was elected, so thank you, John, right hand. I, John Porter,
I, John Porter,
do affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States
do affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
and that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance
and that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance
to the state of Maryland
to,
and support the Constitution and laws thereof,
to the state of Maryland and support the Constitution and the laws thereof,
and that I will,
and that I will,
to the best of my skill and judgment,
to the best of my skill and judgment,
diligently and faithfully,
diligently and faithfully,
without partiality or prejudice,
without partiality or prejudice,
execute the office of counselor
execute the office of counselor
according to the Constitution and laws of this state
according to the Constitution and laws of this state
and the charter and ordinances of the town of Washington Grove.
and the charter and ordinances of the town of Washington Grove.
Okay, welcome to the council.
Yeah.
Thank you for keeping those short.
One of these days, I'm gonna read an entire.
That'll be a trend.
How scared the person.
All right, so just proceeding on, just reminding counselors, and I already, John, our new counselor has already had a chance to look into the council handbook, which we now have online, courtesy of Charlie Charlstrom. It isn't entirely up to date, but it's largely indicative and contains a lot of information as to about the town and about procedures in various aspects. And if you need the link, for some reason you've lost it, just, you know, email me or one of the other counselors, I'm sure has it. The next is to a review of town revenue sources and town accounts, and Jean Moyer. Jean, are you here?
I'm here, been here.
Okay, can't say I have this up and ready, but we don't really have to go through the whole thing.
And, you know, John, you're the newbie, so if I go too fast and you have questions later, just let me know.
Sure. Right, so, this is the revenue sources, right? And amazing, I have it now, and this is for everybody's, here's the document, go ahead.
Yeah, and we had gone through a lot of this with the budget, so it should be somewhat fresh in people's minds. We've got the real property tax, people get their property tax bills as of July 1st. They will see real property tax rate that John just mentioned in the ordinance, and the dwelling tax, they will show up on your property tax bill. I have actually tested it and seen it on mine. So it works. The utility tax, kind of speaks for itself here. I'm not gonna just read these, verbatim. But each month, the county sends me a worksheet that tells me what dollars we are receiving for all of these different taxes, up through the penalties and interest. Those are all through the county. The state income tax, we get a big bump in like April, May, June, in there. It's where we get our biggest bumps, obviously, as people pay their taxes. And it's part of my job with Kathy's help. We make sure that the state has up-to-date PO box numbers and addresses for residents as best as we can know them. If you scroll a little bit more, John, those are some of the biggest that we get. Business licenses, building permits, public ways, property, those are relatively small during the year. Cable, television, Verizon and Comcast, we get about 5,000 a year from them. The highway user revenue, we get money because we maintain our own roads. That comes in sporadically throughout the year. The county municipal tax duplication. It's a mouthful, a little complicated to explain. It's a one-time payment through the county. So because part of the taxes you pay to the county is for road maintenance. But the town maintains and pays for its own roads. So the county basically reimburses the town for the cost of maintaining our roads so that we do not then turn around and pull it from our residents, otherwise they would pay it twice, which is where the word duplication comes in. The recreation program user fees, for the most part, really is Summer in the Parks at this point. Our investment earnings, we make, I put a very conservative amount into the budget because nobody knows what will happen with interest rates. We have been quite lucky in the last year, making a lot of money. We have 2 CDs at Sandy Spring Bank. We have a money market at PNC where our checking account is, and we have the bulk of our savings is in the Maryland local government investment pool, which is very safe money and yields a pretty good rate, a quite good rate actually. So we put the bulk of our money there. Most people are familiar with renting the hall, and contributions and donations. If people are donating, whether it's for Summer in the Parks scholarships, Women's Club donates for some of the town's activities, that will go in there. And the miscellaneous is, as you would think, miscellaneous. Action hauling, this would be maybe new to John. The folks at Action Hauling across from the post office, there's a strip of land there that's the town, and they have a large office kind of trailer there. And we bill them annually for use of that land. And I've put in, this wasn't in the last time I did this, in the other section. When we, and this is getting more into accounting GAAP principles, the ARPA money that we received, as well as the state grant money that we received for the conservation meadow work, we got the money in advance. We can't call it revenue until we spend it, because spending it effectively demonstrates that we are fulfilling the purpose of that grant money, and that then allows us to consider it earned. So I tried to be descriptive in my writing here to make it as understandable to laymen as possible. And program open space, this is not technically our money. It's not like a bank account. But there's a state program for any, and this happened years ago where we spent money to restore the parks and the playgrounds, and sort of we got credit for that. There is money sitting there that we can draw upon if we submit a proposal requesting that money. We have to have a very extremely identified purpose for that money, preferably with quotes associated to it, so that the state then can see that we are truly using that money for something. And then it goes into the budget request of the Department of Parks, and if they get the budget that they request and then can grant us that money, we will receive it. It's definitely, you got to jump through a lot of hoops to get that money. That's my quick rendition. Any questions?
Okay. No,
Uh,
all right, thank you.
mhm.
All right, I'll stop that share, go back to the agenda here. Okay, a number of things I just want to mention. Those, the document is in the materials for the meeting. The information about the Open Meeting Act and ethics training resources for municipal leaders. There's a link to an online course exam on the Open Meeting Act, and also a link to a course offered by the University of Maryland for new municipal leaders to understand the various aspects of serving in their capacity. So those you can look at, and if you want to take the course at Maryland, by all means, let me know. As far as OMA training goes, as every year, I urge all of the council, myself included, and the Planning Commission chair and members and HPC to refresh their understanding of the Open Meetings Act by again taking the certification exam. And just so everyone knows that John Porter has beaten everybody to the punch and already provided his certificate of completion. Thank you, John.
You make us look bad.
How many times
I'm
did
really
you?
sorry, that was definitely the intent.
What was that, your fifth time you took that?
Oh, yeah, it was too many days.
Days, right. Okay. All right, so then the next item is for council business is to go over this year's council responsibilities. There are some minor changes. We have a new council member, of course. It'll all be visible there. And the changes are listed in red. So everything else stays the same as this year. Hope I got it right. Rob, who has decided that he will, under duress, give up RASIC.
Tough choice. Come to that decision.
And I take it you were okay with the lighting committee assignment, Rob?
Oh, yeah, that's fine. I actually didn't see, but yeah.
Okay.
I'm
All right.
happy to do that. That's fine.
And John Porter has agreed to do the Woods and the Gateway Committee. In fact, he's already attended a Gateway Committee meeting, and so he's at least wrist deep, soon to get deeper. And the other one is Peter, who actually requested, and it's not all showing here for some reason. I have to make it larger there. Since he's the maintenance coordinator, basically interacting with RJ and Steve, who sometimes works for RJ and sometimes is just a volunteer in town. And a good deal of what some of the things in the rec committee, and particularly in the playground area, involve RJ. So he requested that he do the rec committee, and currently the playground committee is a subgroup of the rec committee. All right, so those are the assignments. There, the color coding is my estimate of the commitment, time commitment. I should also mention that Chris took on actually 4 things, three of which I thought were light and turned out to be somewhat more than that. And that not entirely because I misestimated it, but substantially because Chris really dove into them. So for example, the Emergency Preparedness and Safety Committee, which is moribund. Chris has basically been serving as the committee, which has taken a lot of time and a lot of effort, and certainly has been standing the town very much in good stead. And
Chris cannot wait for a train to derail here. So he can really show off.
Yeah. So, and then the Meadows Committee, of course, we had we had to develop a renovation plan and get some consensus, which we did. And then the hall, which turns out to some years have virtually nothing going on, and other years a series of things. And it had a few last year, including the internet improvement, to name one. I've forgotten the other, something else needed.
Energy thing,
Sorry?
the energy audit.
Oh, the energy, no, we haven't
Haven't
gotten to
done-
that yet. I mean, yes, we've got it started, but we haven't reached the outcome yet. But the coming year is going to definitely involve the exterior maintenance efforts, painting the window frames and the other rest of the exterior. There may be some roof work. So in light of all that, he was willing to give up the lighting committee, which Rob has taken. Thank you all, and that's pretty much this year's responsibilities as of today. Okay, so I don't know if I can get rid of this.
Pocket had room to do that.
That would be good. All right. All right, next item on council business is we need to elect the coming year's mayor pro tem. Mayor pro tem fills in for the mayor, myself, when I'm incapacitated or in any event out of town, or just sick and tired of dealing with everything. That hasn't happened yet, but so I need a
I'll
nominate.
nominate Barbara.
Okay,
Second.
all right, so Peter nominated Barbara, and Mary seconded. Barbara served for the last several years and has filled in admirably. She and I often cross vacations, and once in a while we overlap, but not usually. Anybody else? Any discussion? All in favor of Barbara as mayor pro tem? All right, that's unanimous.
Thank you for your service.
Okay, and the next thing we want to do is to appoint the town councilor to represent.
So can I just, for the record, record Kathy that I did not vote? Because you said you.
In fact, she, yeah, sorry, I didn't go
Good,
on.
yeah.
It was 5-0. I think you're allowed to vote.
And one abstention.
I think you are allowed to vote for yourself.
What an ego. Wow.
Okay. So the council needs to appoint the council representative on the planning commission, and I propose that Peter continue in that role. He's very much involved in seeing the planning commission operate efficiently but particularly in the intentions of getting a renovation at the commercial corner that will benefit the town as well as the property owner. So
So I nominate Peter,
I've not.
or I move to approve the
Well, okay.
nomination.
Barbara moves to approve the nomination.
Need a second.
Mary seconds. Any discussion? All in favor of Peter being?
I voted for myself.
Okay. Yeah. That was 6-0. Peter wasn't.
Did you vote?
He did. He could have voted for his dog, but didn't nominate them. All right, let's move on to approval of minutes. So I'm sure you all had time to look at the April 14th minutes, I hope. So we'll handle that one first. Are there any comments or corrections to the minutes? There was a typo, Barbara pointed out. I fixed that. A spelling. Any other comments? Okay, in that case, I am informed by our parliamentarian of the town meeting that we do not actually need to vote to approve the minutes. We merely need to address how accurate they are, which we're all agreeing they were accurate. So that takes care of that one. And the other minutes, which I somehow neglected to do in April, was the minutes for the council meeting on March 18th, which was also the budget work session. They were pretty short minutes. I hope somebody had a chance to look at them. Any comments about those minutes? I have to tell you that Christine, now that she's not on the council, periodically goes into a flurry of website updating, and I'll hear about it, which minutes seem to be missing, and this, that, and the other thing that's missing. So this was one of them. Okay, if there are no comments or corrections, then
Well, but it's incomplete, like under approval of agenda, it says XXX.
oh,
to
did I
approve.
not finish it?
And
See, that's what I wanted to take care of it. Then in that case, we'll have to come back with it.
Or we could just say the agenda, there was a motion to approve the agenda and a second or something.
Yeah, I think I was gonna look who did that.
Okay.
There was, and that's what I do when I don't bother to go in and do it. Yeah, but I also didn't summarize the draft budget discussion. Let's come back with that one.
Okay.
We don't, I mean, it's not terribly critical, but I'm sorry. All right. We'll come back with that one in June. Get it right.
Which one are you coming back in June?
The March 18th minutes. All right, that takes us to public appearances. We've got nobody here in the council room. I'm going to open it up then to those of you out in virtual land. Is there anyone here who would like to make a public appearance? Seeing no one, I guess there'll be no public appearances, and we'll call that item closed. All right, then next comes the treasurer's report, which Jean is still here, I trust, to
Still here.
comment on this. This would be the April treasurer's report. Here is what we can see here. Anything you want to comment on, Jean?
Just, I think it's about two things beyond the notes that I put in it. I do hope that we will spend, if you scroll down a tiny bit more, some of the ARPA money on the stormwater project. Hopefully we'll get something spent up in the income. And the other thing I wanted to mention is, John, down in the municipal buildings, which is 2A-8.
Yeah.
I finally have received the community solar invoice from November, December, January, February, March. I think it's only through March. And what I do to validate the kilowatt and credit dollars on that is I trace the numbers into our Pepco bill. It's typical that community solar is about a 2-month lag, but it's been lagging much more than that, despite my asking for the invoices. Everything was fine up through October. Since October, their numbers do not match up with Pepco at all. I've worked with them. I've given them all the information organized as best as I could, and their team is looking into it now. So we have 3 Pepco accounts that are covered by the community solar. The electricity in the municipal buildings section covers the garage and the hall, 2 of the 3 accounts. So we look rather underspent in electricity, and that is why, because we have not paid Skyview since October. That hopefully will come in before the fiscal year ends. The third account is in the lake section, but it's minor compared to what shows up in the hall. I do track it at how it compares what we spend this year versus the equivalent 12 months prior before we had community solar. And I can say that we are saving a bit of money, not huge money. And once I get these invoices all corrected, I'll have a better handle on that, but I do track it to see if community solar is saving us money as well as doing us good for the environment. So I did want to point that out. And I think those were the 2 main comments on the treasurer's report. Next week, I'll be starting to hit heavy into hiring season. We will be hiring lifeguards, summer in the parks counselors. We hire a couple of younger teams to water the tennis courts. And a new area where we will be hiring is in the woods, the newly planted trees in the woods where RJ cannot drag the water tank to. We're going to pay, I think it's 3 young people to tote jugs of water, as Joan had done to water the trees if we hit another drought like we had last summer. So that hiring season will be gearing up, which takes quite a bit of my time. But other than that, I don't have any additional comments.
Any questions from the council? I do want to point out that keeping track of this community solar, both the credits that Pepco indicates on their bills, and then lining those up when they finally get around to
Very confusing.
charging for the solar power, that's from Skyview. Yeah, is quite a challenge, and Jean, you know, has set up a few spreadsheets that may help her, but they're quite difficult to navigate. So
It's
it
a
takes time.
it's a complicated industry.
Yeah, yeah.
So I have a question for the ARPA funds. We have 2 different revenue sources, right? We have the ARPA funds, and then we have, what's the other one? The
State
Maryland
farm.
State Grant.
okay,
have-
now, yeah.
For
So what-
stormwater, yeah, we have actually 3 sources, but the ARPA money, we need to spend that down first. We have $250,000 from a grant. It's a reimbursable grant with the state of Maryland. So we don't get that money in advance. As we spend that money, we will send a bill into the state to get that money reimbursed.
I was just wondering why, you had mentioned that you were hoping that we would start spending the ARPA money.
We have not spent any this fiscal year at all,
Right, but why is that a concern?
because it's a lot of
Sorry,
money and
yes.
I'd like to get it moving.
Okay, I think we all would, yeah, but it's not, but it's not crucial.
No.
Yeah, okay.
But
And
it was
just
in our
for the
budget.
record,
Yeah,
we're in the design phase and I have requested that a invoice be submitted. I mean, they've been at it for 3 months, more than 3 months. So. But hey, if they don't want to be paid, what can I say? We'll pay them eventually.
we make a lot of interest on sitting on that
I
money.
know, it's like, okay. You
We're-
know.
And I track,
100,000, it's a lot of interest, yeah.
yeah, I do track roughly how much I can attribute to the ARPA money. Of the monthly interest, how much is related to the ARPA money roughly? And that money we are considering that money be made available for the project as well.
Right.
We're not required to, but in good keeping,
Makes sense.
that's what we will be
Right.
doing.
Unlike the federal government, which will throw it into the general fund or the county. Sometimes, unless it's been specifically earmarked for the purpose. Often these things go into the general funds, which we're not going to do with these. And it's never been shown as being in the general. Okay. Any questions for Jane? All right, then, I need a motion to accept the treasurer's report.
I'll move to accept the treasurer's report.
Mary has moved. We don't need a second. All in favor? All right, unanimous. Treasurer's report. Thank you.
Thank you, Gene, as always.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a tough month and a half for Gene between the annual budget, this one, and then, of course, the end of the year becomes a
It's,
because of all the hires and everything else, it gets complicated.
yeah, it's the hiring season is a killer.
Yeah. Right. Okay, well, we're on to my report, which hopefully will be quick. I've got a kudo that I thought I should send out to Tom Land for his technical management. At the annual meeting, trying to manage the virtual attendees, be sure they got everything.
Mhm.
And we saw everything, so really thanks to Tom for spending his town meeting struggling to keep it going.
Present PowerPoints. Oh, those darn PowerPoints.
I thought there were minimal, on to the annual town meeting, a brief review. I thought there were minimal glitches. I haven't heard any complaints from the virtual audience, although I'm sure there probably were some. Appreciation to Melissa Amold and Albert, who was here earlier, for providing the video and all of that, and the video edited video, which they have posted on their YouTube channel, and the link is in the agenda, and will also be in the bulletin. We'll make sure everybody can get a look at it in case they miss the entertaining talk from Peter or the boring talk from John, and any of the others. All right, I just want to note to everyone that the charter amendment that 25 resolution 2025-05 has now had its 4 notices put out and will become effective May 24th, unless a petition is received objecting to the charter amendment. That's the process. There is a process. We have a sheet, keep track of it. Okay, the shared use pathway, nothing new. The mandatory referral to the planning board is still not been held and is not scheduled, but it is the next, it is the next hurdle, call it a hurdle. It shouldn't be a hurdle, but you never know. Meanwhile, the Department of Transportation is continuing the engineering study beyond the 35%, so they need to get to 100% so they can go out and start construction. My last thing, I have a feeling there's something I forgot, but is just an update on the stormwater infrastructure maintenance contract. I have targeted the June council meeting, which is in 3 weeks, for the council to consider the 35% design for the project. Perhaps not all of the design, and we hope all of the areas. But a lot has to happen between now and then, and if it's not all put together, and we won't waste the council's time, and we'll defer it till July.
Are the experts gonna look at that before they present it to us
Um,
in terms of criticisms of the design, just because I don't
yeah,
feel, okay, so they'll have recommendations.
it's
to us.
based on where we are now, it may be more likely for July, but I'd love to get it into. Why is this important? Because in order to move to construction and complete engineering, this is the 35% engineering, so it's you know, it's not actual, you know, inches and feet, but it's a concept. It's what fits and what sort of installation it will be, and also the water flow that will be impacted and things like that. What was I gonna say? We need that. The contract is to SMI Environmental. They need that so they can make accurate cost proposal for each of these, for the actual construction. And the way this works is we will sign a design build amendment to the contract, which will specify exactly how much will be spent on what for the construction, and that's where we're aiming for. Once that is signed, they can start construction. If the engineering has been complete. And some of the areas, of course, where the work's going to be, the engineering is more straightforward, and some are a little more complicated, actual facility installations, like the gravel wetlands at the end of Center. And actually, we're going to propose along Acorn, at the intersection of Acorn and Chestnut, that there be a facility there. Probably just step pools to retard the flow. Anyway, so if we get everything happens to fall in line, we'll come back in June, but definitely in July, because we need to expend our ARPA money by the end of 2026. That still should be quite easy to do, but we don't want to run into too much last minute stuff. All right, that's the end of my report. Any questions? All right, then we'll move along. I have on the agenda is number 8 is a proclamation declaring June 6th, 2025 National Gun Violence Awareness Day in Washington Grove. The last one of these we did was in 2020, and the council approved making June 5th, it was that year. And I provided the proclamation in the materials, which I can bring up just for the sake of showing it. It's gonna be too small. Yes. Should be visible to all up here. And basically, is this the right one? Yes. Declares the first Friday of June, National Gun Violence Awareness Day in Washington Grove. It's to honor and remember all victims and survivors of gun violence and to highlight that we as a country should do more to end this public health crisis of violence by guns. So there's a bunch of detail down below. The impetus for this, the declaring this day annually originates where with a young lady who was shot and killed at the age of 15. She would have been 28 this year. Many other cities have signed on to recognize National Gun Violence Awareness Day. As far as what do we do, well, there's nothing really we do except add our voice to a national registry and public news sort use. But also we are to individuals can participate by wearing orange on June 6th. Orange was chosen because that's the safety color in hunting and what have you. We're going to, Kathy's going to see to it that we replace the lights in the gazebo, the white lights, to make them orange.
Aren't they already orange?
Yes, because we did it in
Those,
2020.
well, like those are my Halloween.
Yeah, they're Halloween orange.
I need to pick those up.
Well,
I know.
Okay, Peter.
Seriously.
John, are you looking for a motion to?
Yes,
develop this?
yeah. Right, I'm proposing this proclamation from the council. So,
I'll make that motion.
okay,
I'll
Rob,
second it.
Robert's moved, Mary seconded, supporting this proclamation. Any discussion?
So I have a question. I mean, I certainly support the idea behind this, but there's like such and such awareness day, awareness month, like every day of the year, every week of the year, so how do we, like, why is this one different than the other, ideas that are out there?
It's not necessarily any more worthy than others. It's just that someone has to bring it to our attention.
Okay.
I mean, you or anyone, residents can bring it to the town's attention and it may well be worth supporting. Absolutely. I do this because, I was provided with some, convincing materials to do it. And it seems to me to be a particularly pervasive issue in our country. Not that others aren't as well. This one is. Any other discussion? All right, all in favor then? And thank you, that's unanimous. And that will take us to the next item on the agenda. So, I close that off. Somewhere I have where to go. Thought I had it. Okay. Did I lose the agenda? I don't know how that happens. Okay. Sorry, I lost the agenda temporarily. All right, next item on the under administrative matters is appointments to the HPC. 3 appointments I'm proposing for new terms. Wendy Harris be reappointed for a 3-year term from this July through June of 28. Also, Mimi Stiles And Kirk Greenway, who is the alternate, he was appointed recently to fill out the previous term, and now this is for a 3-year term. So, any discussion of the appointment of these 3 individuals?
No, 3 good people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
really
agreed
good.
to serve, so
Yes.
that's terrific. Okay, all in favor of these appointments? Any opposed? Unanimous? Thank you. All right, now we'll move on to unfinished business. Let's return to the budget, adopting the town budget and tax rate ordinance. We had the public hearing. I'm not going to go over it again. It has been introduced, so I'm looking for a motion to
I'll make the motion to approve it.
Okay, Peter has moved and
I'll second it.
Mary's gonna second everything.
You have to be faster, John.
Yeah.
Took me 2 years to figure that
Jump in.
out.
The next one's yours.
Any other discussion on that?
The dog poop one, that's yours.
I want reminding everybody, as I do every time this comes up, that this is a requirement of the state that we adopt our tax rates and budget by ordinance. This is yours. They wanted it, and Gene always makes sure I know that the county actually wants all this information a week ago, more than a week ago.
Yes, I got an email late last week. Where is it?
Yeah, and the bottom line is, unless we schedule the council meeting right after the annual town meeting, they're never going to be happy. We could move the town meeting earlier. It's already pretty early for us. Okay, all in favor?
Yeah.
So unanimous, ordinance adopted. All right, next item is ordinance 2025-03, exempting fences from the requirement to apply for a Montgomery County permit. Peter should be aware, as being the planning commission liaison, about where we are on this, but this ordinance was brought up last meeting, and for some reason, everything I wrote, Kathy wrote, indicated that it was introduced and passed and enacted. Well, we can't do that. You have to have a public hearing on an ordinance proposal. There are some timing issues. So what happened last month was it was introduced. So we still need to have the public hearing. And so the first thing to do is to set a date for the public hearing, which I propose to be just before, like we did tonight, before the June
Right.
meeting on June 9th. The public hearing. Everybody agree with that?
Yes, sure.
All right, but we can continue to discuss it, and there's a reason to do that, not wait and discuss it in June. Peter,
I personally,
you forget what?
I don't know, no, I don't know why, does everybody know what this is? Yeah, so I don't know, I mean, I don't see why we would discuss it, because it's just makes life easier, but it's a no-brainer to me.
Okay, and you're right, it is a no-brainer,
Yeah.
but there have to be, it has to be done.
No, I understand that, but I don't think the council, I mean, everybody's entitled to their opinion about this, but I don't know why we would put a burden on an unneeded burden on our residents.
Right.
And, we've been doing this for that, done some of these fences, and it's never been an issue, really.
So Georgette sent me discovered, and I think she put it before the planning commission, that another portion, so beyond the ordinance as it was proposed, there was another section in our ordinances that ought to be amended to ensure that that this fence permit from the county is not required. So I went ahead and incorporated the additional requirement, and you're looking at, and you're not looking at. Nobody's looking at it because I'm the only one looking at it, but it was in the packet, believe it or not. And what this is a proposed, really I'm just showing an altered, why do I always have this trouble getting this thing out from under? No, please. All right. So it turns out that that in Article 13, the application of county legislation, there is a listing of the sections of the county legislation that apply to the town that we have incorporated. And down here in the red, you will see that number 7 in that list of about, I don't know, 12. I mean, not number 7, that's section 7. There's 8, which is the buildings, where we currently it makes this exception. And the planning commission feels that this needs to be added to, and that's capitalized. And the exception of the structures in Article 4, for which Article 4 is the original area, for which Washington Grove permit, a Washington Grove permit, but not a county permit is required. So this is an amended language that simply adds this additional language to the proposed ordinance. It adds it to the Article 13 in addition to the change to Article 4, which is the original proposal. So we don't have to propose to amend tonight, but I think it needs to be amended. In fact, I'd prefer if it was proposed to be amended tonight, because then the public hearing will look at the more complete.
That would totally make sense. To do
Okay,
that, yeah.
yeah. So if someone will move to.
I'll make that motion.
I second. Fast I catch on.
So this is amending the ordinance as introduced
Mhm.
to the languages you're seeing here. The additions are all in red, as you can see. Okay,
Is Article 13 on the website, John?
yes,
You know where it is?
it's, you want me to, I can bring it up. I can bring it up. How do I bring it up? I find the dang. What did it do with? I don't know. Oh, Safari, I see. Let's get rid of that. Yeah, there we go. It'll just take me 20 minutes to find it. No, I'll find it.
Are you looking on the website?
Yeah. Coming up with it quickly as I can. My laptop's not what I usually use, so all my quick.
Yeah, it's under town government. And then there's resolution
got
and
it.
ordinance.
You see it?
Yeah,
Yeah, here's say Article 13
Mhm.
is our application of county legislation.
Right.
And I literally can show it to you once I get stop the share and restart the share, and here we are. Okay, so what you're seeing here is the exemption from county legislation, Article 13. You see here the list of the sections of the county code that we incorporate. And one of them is 8, which is what was listed in this amendment. Buildings, with the exception of chapter 8, 26N and O, and the proposal then is to add and those things listed in Article 4 of our code. Okay. All right, did we vote on that? All in favor
We
of? So this is to amend the ordinance that was introduced to with the amendments shown in that document. Any further discussion?
Yeah.
All in favor? Okay, all right, that passes unanimously. Thank you all. And we will move along. Okay, well, now we reach the landscape maintenance services contract, which we deferred and the award from last month. Because of the apparent, because there was a low bid that was significant, and we, the council didn't feel that didn't understand that bid, and let me show you what, just to refresh everybody's memory, we are talking about, and I prepared this comparison sheet. So here you are. The bid here is in green for the coming year, RJ at 65.6, Green Sweep at 56.3, and Green Earth was 35, and that was a shockingly low bid, which would mean a significant lower cost. So unfortunately, this is the problem of opening bids the last minute. And then trying to award the contract is you don't have time to appreciate any complexities in the bids. It turns out that the Green Earth bid was not for all of the services in our RFP. I hope everyone looked at it.
It's obvious.
To what?
It's obvious that it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the low bid is because it's for only some of what we requested in this contract. And I pointed this out separately to individual counselors. We had determined we would interview the three bidders tonight in view of the low bid. Now that it appears that it was difficult, impossible to compare the bids, because in fact Green Earth didn't bid the RFP, they bid what they wanted. It was felt that we didn't need to interview them. So here we are with these bids, and I open it to the council as to how to proceed.
I move that we go with RJ.
I second that.
Okay. You were too slow, John.
He's had a lot more practice than I had.
So,
Okay, so anybody have any, this, the Green Sweep has a lower bid.
I think the letters from the Woods Committee and
Yes.
from F&B, point out why we should spend that extra money. I think that makes a lot of sense.
Right.
To stay with RJ.
That's what I want to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only comment that I have with RJ's bid is that it was lacking any detail whatsoever. I mean, they basically filled in the forms. I think they were relying
That's
on
all we
their,
asked for.
oh, really? From them? Oh, really?
Yeah.
And there was no statement about how they would use electric equipment at all.
They offered that statement last time. We did want a statement of that sort, and the Sustainability Committee reached out and would like to hear, how committed they are to that. I think they're as committed as it. My personal opinion, having not Peter can speak to it better, is that they're as committed as anybody
Mhm.
doing it. You have to listen to Steve Wertz and others as to what is practical at this time.
Right.
They of course have to stop using gas blowers. That's,
yeah, and they've already taken
That's-
care of that, yeah.
and we have signed on to the county's
Mhm.
prohibition.
Yeah.
But using electric other like mowers is a whole different
Right.
challenge. They probably exist. They probably expensive. There's probably a whole.
Only the county can afford to do it, seriously.
Oh, I'm sure it's
Well, even they're not doing that. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
so far it's only the blowers.
I say that only because, I have heard nothing but exceedingly positive things about them.
Right.
Yeah, it's just amazing.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I think if we were to, we're in good way to press them to do what they can. I think all of those companies are caught in a tough
Sure.
squeeze a little bit as to, they have to remain competitive. And they, if they were to convert to electric larger equipment, it almost certainly is gonna cost more money, just first, certainly in capital expense.
Okay.
If not the time it takes them to do the work, so. Yeah, that's something we have to keep working on, and I'll remind you that if we approve this contract. And this contract was bid, it's a one-year contract we are awarding, but the bid called for, prices for, 5 years.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah.
And indicated that at the discretion of the town and the vendor, the contract could be renewed annually. So every year we have, we sign a new, we indicate, we offer them the contract again. And we can put in there any other conditions
Mhm.
that we believe that we would like to have. And there can be a negotiation, or we can just say, well, if you can't do that, then we'll have to look for somebody else.
I just wasn't sure how much we were weighing that electrical equipment conversion and all that kind of stuff.
I'd say this year, we're not weighing it.
Not weighing, well, because, yeah,
Yeah.
there was no statement at all,
Yeah.
so not an
Yeah.
issue.
Okay, that was the discussion. Anything else? Yeah, it was a good, this is a very relevant issue moving ahead, and I'm saying, now that we've gotten the bidding out, and next year we'll go through offering a second year. This is the kind of thing that could be addressed. You can get your statement. Their plan
Yeah.
to
Right.
address this issue. All right, hearing no further discussion, and let's move on to a vote. All in favor of awarding the contract to RJ? All right, looks like a unanimous vote. Great. So back to the agenda, the next item. We're unlocking the tennis court gates. Further discussion, possible action. Gonna let you just review where we were. We introduced this subject last month. And it was the consensus of the council that there was insufficient information as to how important or whether locking the gates had enough, there was enough reason to do this, to whatever, to prevent damage, to make sure, people aren't using it inappropriately. And so the council voted to postpone action to this month to gather additional information regarding the advantages of locking the gates. So here's where we are. Peter?
So I want to clarify, the motion last month was to lock the clay courts and the hard courts, correct?
Yes.
Okay, I would like to amend that to say to locking the clay courts only. That's my motion.
Okay, so before I repeat the motion, can you explain why I mean, you're the person giving the motion may speak to their motion.
Right, procedurally, we need a second.
To proceed, that's correct, and I need to repeat the motion once.
Right.
I'll second.
Okay, so it's been moved and seconded to amend the proposal to lock the tennis courts to just lock the clay courts. And it's now open for discussion, but we'll let Barbara.
Yes,
first.
because I saw the evidence that was presented, the pictures, I walked over there myself. I'm not convinced that locking the hard courts, like, what will that do? I mean, there is some damage on the tennis court. It's on the green part that you don't play on, it's like a little, some gouging out. The part that's on the blue is like some. It's not an indentation in the court at all. I don't see how it's like some kind of visual thing that you see. I don't see how that affects tennis playing. I think that putting the lock on the gates is a real, it is very offensive to see. I've been to different tennis courts around here, Emory Grove, the one over in Matty Stepanek, and the one over at Blueberry Hill. They do not have locks. On the Rockville one, the Matty Stepanek one, they have a big sign that these courts are for the use of Rockville residents only. I looked there yesterday, there were dozens and dozens of people there. I don't think anybody was there checking IDs. So surely it's possible that if we don't lock the tennis courts, that we'll have people who don't live in the Grove using them, which violates our ordinance. But I think that's kind of de minimis. The clay courts are a different matter because they are so easily damaged and damaged by people who like, oh, I think I'll walk around on the clay court, and they have no idea that they're even doing that, causing harm. So I do feel like the clay courts need more protection just because of the nature of a clay court. But I'm not convinced by the evidence that was presented to us that the hard courts need to be locked.
Is it possible that I've heard some people say that the sign is not, I mean, I know it says that, but maybe people aren't reading it as much. So if we made it a more prominent, this is for town residents only, just so people will know if that's what our rule is, without locking it.
Well, okay, so I would not die. I think that I agree, the clay courts have to be locked. I would not die on, whether the hard courts are locked or not, but we did ask for evidence and information, and the people that use the courts are very passionate about this fact. And Donna, we all know that, we play tennis all the time. You have to wear tennis shoes on tennis courts. Tennis court surfaces, we spent about 30,000 last time to get that thing resurfaced. And if you don't wear tennis shoes, the court's acrylic, it gets damaged. And Donna was good enough to explain that moisture gets in there, that's where your cracking can come from. I've been on that court. It's an attractive nuisance. People bring all kinds of things on it. We're offering our entire park to the entire world. And all we're saying is that our ordinances say these courts are for our residents. And we're not being snobby about it. Just like, we have our lake and we go through a little bit with that also. But to me, the people that use the courts, and we're getting more and more people as far as pickleball people. If you have a pickleball court, tennis courts are everywhere and they're not used hardly at all. But pickleball courts are very, very attractive to people. And it's very uncomfortable to have people from out of town. It's even worse to have people on the courts and then telling them they have to leave. And just to me, I think we're making way too much out of this. Most of the communities I know lock their courts. And because the courts are a valuable asset and they can get damaged very easily. So my experience, by the fact that I was assaulted almost on the tennis courts by telling a group of teens who were skateboarding on it to leave. And I actually called up the mayor who told me to call the police. And so anyway, the only feedback I've gotten from the town has been, as you've all probably gotten too, was from very passionate people. I'm looking at them right now. And, I personally think that the court should be locked. I also don't think that we should advertise apologies or anything else, which makes it look even more like, well, why were they apologizing? What are they doing? What are they doing that's wrong? It's always been for town residents only. And Meredith and her group have worked out a very good plan of how to alert the town. Meredith and some people have even volunteered to be, to have their names out there, just like at the lake where if you want to get on there, you know who to go to. So, and like I said, I'm not gonna die on this issue, but I really believe that, this is a fine direction. And I know the whole DEI initiative, but I don't think that should drive our decisions. Because I think that we're a welcoming town. I believe that. I think we're doing this, for the goodness of for the interests of the town.
I'm not sure that locking the clay courts is gonna solve anything, because that gate is just not high enough. Determined
But it keeps
teens,
dogs off.
determined teens with skateboards or any other bicycle can lift them right over that fence, and I used to do that as a kid.
Yeah.
It's not a deterrent.
But we're not gonna put a 10-foot fence.
No, I know, but
Oh, so that's like-
I'm just not sure that you're gonna get the result for the clay courts that you want. Because if the kids come and they can't get on the main court, they're gonna see the clay courts over there and.
It's dogs that are the biggest
Is
problem.
dogs the main problem?
Yeah, it is the main problem, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But I mean, but the person that goes on the clay court and does not wear it, if you're wearing a running shoe on the clay court, it rips it up.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, but-
Anything
yeah.
to tread.
Yeah, the treads, and we have cicadas, but Meredith is right there watching at all times. So that's the other thing, so if somebody goes over, she'll get them.
Who?
Meredith,
Oh.
she's right there. Shoot.
I'm Mary.
Yeah, so anyway, that's my say.
Anyone else have, I just want to comment that, locking two of them, I mean, just the clay courts. Seems to me to be a kind of a half measure. If you still need to have the combination disseminated, the same organization would apply to making it possible for residents to use the clay courts. So leaving the hard courts open just strikes me as it's a half measure. Yeah, as you will have read in the comments, public input that was received, that there was belief that better signage, whether you lock the courts or not, the courts could use a lot better signage that address these very issues. Certain things shouldn't be on the clay courts, and you can say why. I mean, and if people like to use skateboards and inline skates, you can point out that 50 feet away is the basketball court, which we are about to make very nice and smooth, is available for that activity. So please use that. And simply, so the signage, well thought out, could address the most obvious offenses that happen. You could say that, the clay courts are damaged by no treaded shoes, which damage the clay court. I mean, you say that, and most people would understand that it's just being totally arbitrary here.
If you put a list of no's and then at the bottom, put something about, violations may be subject to, if what you said is called the police, to put, just that there is an enforceable way that,
Right.
just in
Right,
terms of
that's usually
additional
what-
incentive,
Yeah.
whether it works or not. But if someone comes, and says you need to get off, it's kind of there, you can say, you can call the police.
I mean, yeah, as with all safety measures, you as John, I think as you were pointing out, you have to see how effective it is, short of putting a 20-foot fence. Is it
Yeah.
going to reduce the issues? Is it gonna handle the issues?
Our courts have been, we pay all this money for these courts and they're never used. And now we have this group of people, pickleballers are really, and we have tennis players too. And you all don't probably get all the emails that go around, but it's a pretty significant group of Grovers, and it's gonna grow and grow and grow. And they're putting a lot of volunteer effort in, they're doing the lessons for the kids. They have all kinds of stuff going on, and it's a lot of enthusiasm. And those courts, that's part of our heritage, is the tennis courts, really. The Grove history goes back, and it's being resurrected by this group. And they're putting this effort in, they're requesting something. And I think that, to me, it's like I say, I don't, we don't use the courts, we go somewhere else. But they're doing this, and I think they should be rewarded by us listening to what they're doing. And any objection that's whether it's signage, whether it's figuring out a system for communicating throughout the Grove of how to make sure that people get courts scheduled and everything else. It's a lot going on. And I just think that this is just responding to what they're asking for. And you know what? You could also do a little pilot thing and try it. And if we find that there's some negative feedback, yeah, and you know what? We're never gonna hear anything, because that's the way it is, but maybe,
No, you might well hear that, this is a pain in the.
Yeah, it's
rear. I mean,
yes, exactly. It's a small investment considering the effort that's going through. That's just my feeling for this whole thing.
Any other comments now? We have on the floor a motion to amend to lock only the clay courts. Will be the next action. Further discussion.
Well, I think, so if I may, one of the things that I did see some traffic on was the fact that it's, yeah, and Peter brought it up too, right? There's an expense for upkeep. And whether it's, obviously, with the gates being locked, but the fence 4 feet, you could easily jump over. But I think if you do a multitude of measures, especially for teenagers, if you say, here are the no's, and if you don't comply, Montgomery County Police will be notified or whatever for enforcement. The kids, and then if we offer up the basketball court, for example, then the kids would probably move over. There's no reason for them to be violating and damaging property unless they really want to, to be a vandal. But and you're not going to stop that, right? But I think, yeah, and I go back to the taxpayer dollar thing. It costs a lot to maintain, and that's one of the draws for this community. And with the resolution that says that the courts are for town residents, maybe that should be looked at again if we want to open it up. But we're not there right now. Now I think if we a trial run, right, and take all these measures in consideration, and even lock both gates with the signage that says if you want to rollerblade or skateboard or whatever, go use the basketball court. So, in its essence, we're shifting all the activity to another location that could handle something like this, right? And that's, I guess that's what's going through my mind. Bottom line is we don't want to raise taxes to help keep or redo the tennis courts, clay or hard surfaces, even though locking it up, it's like locking your cars. If somebody really wants to get in there, locking your house, somebody's going to get in there. But it's just a visual, measure to take and deterrent, yeah.
And I do think that they did give proof that there is actual damage going on to the courts, wherever it is. I mean, clearly if people are in there, it's doing something, and that will come to an expense if you know.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I want to point out though, we don't necessarily know who did that damage.
well, it wasn't somebody playing tennis, I suspect. It looked like wheels or.
But was it somebody who lives in the Grove, or somebody who came to visit it? Like, we don't, I mean, I don't know that wasn't in the.
Well, I guess that's where the signage kind of being more clear.
And controls, right? I think when you lock it, then you were talking about people with combinations and having access control, just like they do with the lake or whatever. It's nothing is foolproof, and we're not gonna get there unless we do build a 20-foot fence around it, but every added measure, I think. Is a deterrent, especially, I think, if you say, if something goes wrong, we're gonna call Montgomery County Police, and they're just right around the corner. That to me should be a pretty good deterrent for teenagers.
The signage should make clear that the prohibitions, including the locking, is to prevent damage to the courts. It's not to keep
Yeah.
you out of there.
Right,
It's
right.
make it.
Well, it's a tennis court.
Yeah, but it's an attractive area, so we make it harder for
Right.
if well, we've been playing here on the swings, let's go jump the tennis court for a tennis net or.
Well, it's a playpen too. I always see families with kids running around in there. They jump in and hanging on the nets.
Yeah.
They have their little dogs running around in there with them. Yeah, it's an attractive nuisance, is what it is. Yeah.
If you call Silas a little.
My Silas can't walk that far anymore. I mean, if you're gonna be totally honest, reality is that whether it's locked or not, the clay courts can get damaged, but you sweep them, and they pretty much
you have
they have to be rolled, they get swept. These courts, they haven't been locked in forever, and every X number of years it has to be resurfaced. So I think to me the thing that really moves me about this is just the group of people who are using them, and they're the ones that very passionately are requesting this, and they're the ones that have a lot more knowledge about what's going on than the people here do.
Have there been an increase in incidences over the years?
It's like we're all sitting here, and it's like we're all trying to come up with all this stuff. Nobody's done any studies or
I don't remember hearing.
Anecdotally,
Yeah. It's the first time that I remember, and I've been on council for a while, that there were things that got elevated to us.
No, like we've had a certain member of athletes, a young athlete in town was in there with their lacrosse stick, and they were practicing lacrosse, throwing their ball against the chain link fence and totally damaged something. And if Steve Wertz was here, he could probably, because he's the one that has to fix all this stuff, he could probably tell some stories. Because I live relatively close and I pass there all the time, I've seen many times people in there that shouldn't be in there, doing things that's not tennis. And they're not wearing tennis shoes. But we have more important things to worry about than this, to tell you the truth. Like dog poop.
Okay.
It's like,
unless someone objects, we need to vote on Barbara's proposed amendment, which is to lock only the clay court gate. Ready to vote? All in favor of that amendment? Opposed? All right, it was 1 in favor, 5 against. Amendment fails. So we're back to the original motion, which is to lock the gates, all the gates to the tennis courts. My proposal is that if you're going to approve that it shouldn't happen until appropriate signage is installed. So that the presence of locks will be better explained right at the doors. Any discussion then on the main?
I'm just wondering if, as a olive branch, we wanted to say that we would try this for.
Oh, you want to make it a trial period or reevaluate it after a certain amount of time?
Yeah.
That's maybe perfectly reasonable.
So do you want to amend your motion then?
wasn't mine, wasn't mine.
Wasn't it your
That
motion to
was-
lock the tennis courts?
Oh, well, he was, yes, so I would amend that, and to have a trial period,
6 months?
Yeah, it's actually, you could, yeah, except that tennis is gonna stop, it's gonna,
I think 3 months is enough.
Yeah.
Because, you're gonna.
yeah, but we could say 6 months, it doesn't matter, because, I mean, what's the
Or you can just
difference?
say reevaluate it in the summer.
Wait a
or
minute.
September.
Yeah. Oh, I know,
Is-
Robert's rule.
Yeah, Robert's rules, like, did you make a motion or was there a second? I mean, we're already discussing.
I think we're trying to figure out what the motion is.
Okay,
I
so
think-
you
yeah.
could do that, Peter.
Okay, so I'm gonna make the motion that we lock the tennis, what? What, okay, what?
Just say October.
Okay, I'm making the motion that we lock all the tennis courts on the trial basis and we reevaluate in October. How's that?
You seconded, are you,
Sure.
Oh.
I mean, you're not
I
seconding, you're
lost.
just agreeing. All
Adopted.
right,
And reevaluate based on complaints or whether there's an improvement in what happens to or just look at it and say,
Yeah.
we continue, I mean, what criteria
Reevaluate
is
is,
gonna reevaluate?
just say reevaluate's pretty safe,
Okay,
but you can, unless you.
yeah, we don't know what might come into play.
Yeah, yeah,
I suspect you'll get some comments over the period.
yeah,
Yeah,
Is there October, is it October or not?
October,
October, the
October,
proposal,
and I
Okay.
seconded.
October 31st, wasn't it, Halloween?
no, the October,
Okay.
October. So that will be June, July, August, September, 4 months.
4 months,
That's all the summer months.
perfect.
So with
Okay.
Robert's rules, with the second, does that open it up for discussion?
It's, yes, well, they have agreed to alter their motion, so the motion's been altered because they're the first and second. And now we're discussing the new and improved motion.
Okay, so it's open for discussion.
Yes. Yes,
And the only thing is, do we want to add signage? That we lock it after we get the appropriate signage? And then the other question I have is it going to be bilingual or?
sorry,
Is it going to be bilingual, like English and Spanish or?
we have made, recent policy is that signs will be in Spanish as well,
Okay,
up to the council.
yeah. But I mean, did we want to, add
So
signage as a,
I think the procedure is to vote whether we wanna reevaluate in October. And then after that, we can discuss your amendment to change the signage.
okay.
Oh,
okay.
thank you, yeah.
All right, is there any discussion about the revised motion, locking the tennis courts with a reevaluation in October?
Well, the motion is specifically on the reevaluation,
No, the motion, they have,
right, but the proposal was to amend it to.
no, he made the motion,
Mhm.
Mary seconded it. They can agree to the change, you don't need a vote. Their motion is now
Okay,
lock the 4, I'm pretty sure.
okay.
3.
Yeah, I mean, we can do it by
Are we
amendment.
building another one?
What?
Are we building
Send it
another
to
tennis
the
court?
dog park.
In any event, I think the outcome is clear, straw vote. Anybody object to a straw vote? All in favor of adding the reevaluation to the locking proposal? All right, so that's approved. So now we have the motion is open to any further amendments.
About signage,
Yes, so do I make a motion that we
Amend.
amend. And include signage as a prerequisite to locking.
Okay.
Hmm.
Second? All right, so move to amend to require new signage prior to the locking. Is there who just as a matter of interest, who will
make the sign,
design and approve the signage?
should the tennis people,
Well, the signs need to be, as you already said, they need to be redone anyway, so it's not,
No.
Yeah, it's not a big deal. And there's a lot of discussion already circulating around about what the signs should say.
Basically prohibitions and, you know. what
Okay,
happens
you've got
if-
3 weeks.
Yeah.
Come back in June with proposed signage. And then we can get on with locking.
And Eva Pashon has a place that she's used, that seemed to be.
I'm not worried about getting the signs. Yeah, that's a small matter. but
Okay.
We can get the signs fairly quickly. We just have to what we want to get.
So is that, yeah.
I would be opposed to waiting on the locking, because if it's gonna take however long, 30 days, that's another chunk of warm weather gone without the locking. I mean, it's, as I understand it, it's, as these things go, an emergent situation. I mean, emergency is like, we're talking about conditions of a clay tennis court. But I don't play, the people in town who do care about it. I don't want to waste another 30 days. If we're going to address it, we're trying to stop it, we should lock it now. I agree that we should put up signage to explain, but I don't think that we should let the conditions persist while we're getting the sign put in place.
Yeah. Is that an amendment to the amendment?
Yeah.
Well, it's just my statement,
Right.
opposing the waiting of the delaying.
Conditioning the locking to having signage.
Oh, correct,
Right,
yeah.
right.
So I was just wondering what that means, we vote on or not vote on. I'm confused.
Okay, well.
Well, I guess that
No, we'll take
if
a-
I can frame it as a motion to amend to eliminate the delaying of the locking of the courts.
You're just opposed to you're opposed to his.
I'm not opposed to the adding signage or
But you're opposed to his
Waiting.
amendment.
as stated, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Anybody else want to speak to the amendment to require signage before locking?
I think it's gonna be really a little bit difficult coming up with the verbiage that everybody's gonna agree on. I mean, we will do it, but I don't think it's gonna happen.
I agree.
Yeah.
Part of the reason why.
I don't-
want to
I don't-
condition
I have very strong feelings about the I don't wanna be apologizing to people for doing what I think is the right thing.
What?
So I wanna accomplish what Barbara, I wanna be friendly.
No borrow trouble. I like to think that I'm very good at signage.
There you go.
I've basically
Yeah,
participated in most of the signs in the last bunch of years that have gone in. And, I don't think it should take that long to do this.
took 5 years.
I've
to get a
seen
welcome
the-
sign.
What?
Took 5 years to get a welcome sign.
I wasn't involved.
You wouldn't pay for it.
Remember, I was not involved in that.
Yes, I do. Yes.
So, okay.
No, but so could we like come up with a timeframe of when the signs, we can get the signs built instantly, it's just a matter of the verbiage.
Well,
So,
I was gonna say
Yeah.
by June, by the June meeting. Yeah.
So
Three,
Yeah,
right?
but we
now-
haven't voted that.
Right.
I know, the
So
discussion.
getting a little-
it is,
So, we'll cut that discussion short. We have an amendment on the floor. Any further discussion? All in favor of Chris's amendment to condition locking on having signage? Please indicate by saying aye.
But then.
All opposed? All right, amendment fails. Further discussion on the motion, which is to have put the locks on and reevaluate in October.
further discussions, right?
Yes.
So.
All right.
And I guess, what crosses my mind is what John had said earlier, if you lock it, it's not gonna stop anybody. And if you lock it, if it's a bunch of teenagers, I don't know who they are, but if they're in there and all of a sudden they can't get in there, they're gonna go to the clay courts, more than likely because the fences are lower.
right.
Well, you
So,
can't.
they're totally different environments. Totally different.
Okay,
It's not, the things that they would do in the hard surface, they would not do in the clay surface.
okay.
I mean, that's not, I mean, that's not gonna be an issue. Trust me.
Okay.
That's why we have a trial period.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, if it has unforeseen consequences, what do we call it? Unforeseen consequences.
Unintended.
Unintended, thank you, unintended consequences. That's a good reason.
Let me top the locks off. Yeah,
A point of information is the motion that's on the floor is part of that, that the locks will have a code like what we have in
Yes,
the
that was the
lake.
proposal.
And so town people will have it,
yes.
because I remember that coming up, but I wasn't sure if that was actually part of.
No, the proposal was to have coded.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And there's a whole system in place for alerting the town. I think there's also, it's on the signage that they're gonna have there anyway, temporarily. I think Meredith could speak to it, but they're gonna have Meredith's name and somebody else's name on there. So that they can get in touch with them if they need to, if they don't have the access. So.
So do we need to propose an amendment that the fact that we're just gonna make some new signs?
We can have a separate motion for
A
that.
separate motion or an
Or
amendment to Peter?
or just, we've already,
We vote on that one.
I'm not sure signs are necessarily need council action. We can do signs, usually we just inform the council, here's what,
Mhm.
when our insurance company recommended improved signage, we just said, here's the improved signage that meets their recommendations, boom.
Right,
Okay, easy process.
right, yeah.
Okay.
There's certain necessary and proper measures that John feels empowered.
Yeah. That's what I was gonna
Hey,
say.
what?
If you quote, assume that the mayor, who's the administrator of all these things, won't allow the locks to go on until there's a process for everybody getting the combination. I mean, the last thing I want to do is hear about, what the heck are these courts locked?
Oh, John, you're gonna hear.
Without a sign, it might be a huge surprise. There's always
There's
people.
metaphysical certainty that you're gonna get irate emails. The tennis court is locked. How, this is an outrage.
Exactly. All right. All right, so that's that, I think we can just deal with that. Any other discussion on the motion per se? Once again, it's to lock the courts, combination locks, and for trial to be reevaluated in October. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, motion passes.
Thank you.
I know it's a sensitive council, we need improved signage. And we'll certainly work on signage. Peter is going to lead, Meredith is going to lead the charge on opinions and, are you there, Meredith?
Yeah.
Well, the picture's there, she's there.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I know your logo, okay. So Meredith, you can, we'll fire back and forth proposed language for signs. All right.
Good.
On we go. All right, this brings us to a new business, which is, first item is resolution 2025-06, renewing the renewable energy conversion incentive program. I hope Bob Boer is still hanging in there. He's here to answer questions. I'm just going to go over the resolution, which hopefully you all saw. It is a variation, it is a revision to the one we passed originally, which was then again passed last year. But it has been modified to account for what we have learned in terms of experience. And so I'm going to show it here soon.
So I'm just wondering, do counselors feel like we need to have John explain it to us?
I'm not going to explain the whole thing. I only want to explain a few parts of
Okay, all
it,
right.
which I think.
I don't want to cut you off, but I just.
No, I don't want to spend forever on this.
Necessary.
No, and that's why I didn't ask Bob to go through it,
Right.
because I think we can make it quick. Famous last words. Right. Okay, here is the resolution then. And most everything is, some wording has been changed, but I've highlighted some of the new for this renewal of the program. it just states that it's been successful up to now, and therefore we want to continue it. And here in this particular resolved portion is, is being approved through June 30th, 2030. According to the program description and program operation in Appendix A, which is attached, we'll get down to that in a moment. And to this, from what you may have seen, in reviewing it, the potential of changing the award amounts was raised. So in red, you see award amounts may, it helps to have English here. May,
I was gonna ask.
may be
Adjusted.
adjusted. Thank you. That was the word. I don't know how I lost that. Adjusted as appropriate. So the point is, we're approving it here, as you will see, but in subsequent years, the council would be able to change those amounts without having to go through this whole business again. And the way that would happen is in the last further resolved that it will be funded at 20,000 for the coming fiscal year. That's already in the budget, but for succeeding years per the amount designated for the program in the approved annual town budget. Meaning the council and the town will have to put money in for the program
Right.
to use. And that amount is up to the
Right.
budget. So it could be, instead of 20, it could be 40 or whatever. It could change.
Or it could be zero.
Or zero.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Then going down now, that's the resolution, and then there's Appendix A, which I've lost. I'll put the Appendix A back in there. This, what you're seeing here was all in the original resolution. And a fair amount of it is still the same, but the Sustainability Committee suggested a variety of modifications, all of which reflect, most of which reflect actual practice, and but there are a few substantive things, one of which is here highlighted, that the resident will be eligible for a rebate of 10% of the cost of the vehicle up to a maximum of $1,500. So if you get an electric scooter,
I want to get that car. That's
or whatever, right? You know, you're not going to get most of it paid. All right, so that was a modification. And then here's one that was controversial in the Sustainability Committee, and I know it probably will be discussed here, and that is that the incentive does not apply to Tesla vehicles. We're just going through this before we have a discussion. Then there's the operation of the program, lots of details. Many of these have just been updated for practice. And so they've all been vetted by the Sustainability Committee, and a lot of those procedures were adjusted because Jean Moyer, our treasurer, has to approve that she has all of the paperwork before she disperses. Okay, so Bob is here with questions, so.
Well, I think we need a motion.
You do,
first.
I'm about to ask for a motion.
Okay. I move to approve this.
Okay, to approve this resolution.
I'll second.
No? Who seconded? Oh, Rob seconded, so Barbara has moved and seconded, open for discussion.
So can we ask for a comment, I guess, from Bob?
Yes, he's the chair of the Sustainability Committee and can advise, yes, can.
So Bob is still there. I'd like to direct this to Bob. Why are we excluding Teslas?
This was, as John pointed out, a controversial
discussion in the Sustainability Committee. And it's really a political statement is what it is. You know, the fact that the owner of Tesla has made himself into a scourge, and the committee felt, the majority of the committee felt that it was inappropriate to encourage him by encouraging the purchase of his vehicles, essentially. I may add that it was a very close vote, and there were very good arguments against, which Dave is here, I'm sure, to express.
So I would like to comment on that. So I support this exclusion of Tesla, and it's not because of the scourge. The owner of the Tesla Corporation is actively working to dismantle the Environmental Protection Agency, which protects our environment, the National Institutes of Health, which protects our health, including poor, health outcomes related to environmental factors. They are working to reduce the way that the public can have input into these decisions. So for me, like environmentally, if our goal is to try to, they're climate change deniers. So if our goal is to try to protect the environment through this program, why would we support a technology and a company that actively works to oppose that? So I am definitely in favor of the Tesla exclusion.
I guess, along those lines, my question would be, there are a lot of other companies out there, the Chinese vehicles are pretty much in the same boat, right? Would we exclude those other EVs? They didn't get involved in our government and here in the United States, but clearly, their environmental lack of environmental controls and concerns in China and producing EVs, for example, or even batteries is significant. And, they don't care about polluting the atmosphere. We've even seen that a few years ago where people have to wear a mask because when they walk out of their houses, they couldn't see. And then COVID hit and the air clearing, quality came 180 degrees. So, it just seems, I hear the argument and it's not that I disagree, but there are a lot of other companies out there that are doing the same thing.
So are you moving to amend the proposal to exclude the Tesla exclusion?
Well, right now, I'm just trying to understand why it's there.
Okay.
Right? And if we're talking about environmental impacts, I keep getting emails from this environmental group that talks about, this might sound odd, but they want to boycott or Costco for toilet paper, that they're going down and turning trees into paper, which is toilet tissue, and it's just being flushed down the drains. They're talking about, there's a lot of environmental issues going on out there, and I think, going back again to the EVs, it just, to me, it seems more political, right? Unless we want to really then consider all the other EVs that are coming over here from China, for example. To me, it's just as detrimental to the environment, That's,
Well, it is political.
Yeah, it is.
And there's no.
No way around it.
Right, I mean, that's the point, it is a political statement, as I understand it.
Yeah.
That the town doesn't wanna use its taxpayer money to subsidize. Purchases from a company that you know, many people in town, I suspect majority, but don't wanna speak for that, but many people in town are opposed and think that he is a menace and you know, a threat to the country.
But it's,
So that's the rationale, right? I mean, I don't think
Yeah.
that there's any, I mean, maybe others who are on the committee, it sounded like. Dave was opposed, and there may be others who have different views of it, but. It is a partisan political statement, and. I'm, yeah, I think that the question for us is the benefit of. Encouraging electric vehicle purchases, and Teslas are probably the most common pure electric vehicle, non-hybrid. Does that outweigh helping subsidize a company that many of us think their founder is, you know, aiding and abetting a slide towards authoritarianism?
So,
Mhm.
just, so my first reaction was.
wait, who are you?
Let me introduce myself. John. Is that, you know, it seems to be politicizing a document that's not supposed to be political. I mean, the simple statement of this
Yeah,
document
yeah.
is to incentivize the conversion to sustainable heating and cooling systems,
Right.
renewable electricity and electrical vehicles. I
Mhm.
mean, that is the intent purpose of this document. It's not a political statement. And
Mhm.
I was concerned, I'm no fan of Trump, I mean, no fan of
Yeah.
Trump, Musk, or he never liked Teslas to begin with.
Mhm.
But I'm not sure our town government is the place to tell people what they can and can't buy
Mhm.
and how we're going to support them in that effort of being more renewable. I
Mhm.
mean, if somebody wants to buy a Tesla from somebody we don't like,
Mhm.
fine, you know,
Yeah.
they have the same right as anybody else in this town to buy what they want.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure the government should be telling people what they can and cannot buy with incentivized money that we are providing. I mean, we're not going to evaluate every single company that they could be possibly buying from an air conditioning company that the CEO is a monster, but we don't know that. But we're not going to go and evaluate every single company that's out there, that just because we may not like their politics. I'm not sure how that's, you know, I don't know, it just feels like we're picking out an obvious monster that we obviously all hate,
Yeah.
you know, but I don't know how you rectify that on a bigger scale, or if you can.
This whole resolution is about picking and choosing. The decision, this kind of technology is the best kind of technology, and we're gonna help pay for it with Washington Grove tax dollars. So it is about picking and choosing, and I do think that we have a responsibility to choose responsibly. And yes, sure, there may be some companies that we're not really sure about, we don't know about, but it's pretty clear. Tesla's information is pretty clear and in your face, and we see it every day, and it's to me just really obvious that we should not be subsidizing Tesla.
So I look at this, two things. One, I have to say, is that my neighbor used the program and got a Tesla. And now I feel like, there's a stigma on them. Because the town's basically saying, oh, you're driving a Tesla. And we don't approve of that. And the other thing is that this conversation here goes way beyond talking about cars. This is basically is what's the right thing for the town to do? Because we're supposed to be objective, because we have citizens who are Republicans, and we're supposed to be representing everybody. At the same time, we all know that the world's going in a bad direction. The country's going in a bad direction, and is Washington Grove gonna get more involved? So secretly sneaking it in through, there's a bigger discussion, I think, that's going on here that we need to kind of like look at.
There's no question. If Tesla ends up releasing Musk as a controlling interest in Tesla, because there's a very good possibility the board will push him out because he's screwing up the company. So does that, when he gets pushed out of Tesla, do we start allowing Teslas again? I mean, are we against Tesla or Musk? I mean, and that right now we feel like they're interchangeable, but the company is a separate entity.
Right, right.
Tesla is a company that's run by a board of directors that's owned by Musk. So.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
maybe I can make a comment. I think the intent of this program is to reduce the carbon footprint of the town. And the council needs to decide whether or not, choices of renewable energy program, a renewable energy technology is a personal decision, or do we want to get involved in preferences, or so we prefer you do, you stay away from this company or that technology or whatever it might be. The program as it has been put forward here is strictly, and it is justified, it has been justified as a carbon footprint reduction campaign. It seems to me that if you want to make it a political statement as well, then you would change the program's rationale.
Mhm.
As the program has been proposed, it stays away, and I would say ought to stay away from political or vendor or any orientation that and stick with what is solid in most of our support, and supported by most of us, and that is to reduce the use of carbon fuels. If there are other ways the town could make a statement concerning Mr. Musk. Certainly, I mean, we do proclamations. We could, you could recommend that, supporting Elon Musk is supporting is anti-democratic and stuff like that. But I think in the case of this program, the Tesla electric vehicle meets all the qualifications for the program. And who owns it is not part of the equation for the program as it's been conceived.
Mhm.
Anybody else?
I'd be curious to get like a poll of people in town to see what they would like us to do. Because I think there's arguments for both sides, and ultimately, we are spending the town's money on this. So it may be that while people are committed to reducing the town's carbon footprint through subsidizing, carbon reduction measures, overwhelmingly people in town don't want that money to be spent on Musk-owned Tesla products. And if that's the case, then as a representative weighing things, I'd want to know that, and I don't have a good sense. I mean, I suspect overwhelmingly people in town share the sentiments that sounds like, many people, including me, express that we think Musk himself is anti-democratic, and maybe Teslas are good, but he's bad, and we don't want to spend money on that. But maybe they feel differently. Maybe their views are like yours and John's and Chris's. So I wonder whether in implementing this, prior to implementing this, is there a way we can, I don't know if it's through what is it called? The monkey, what do you call it? The Survey Monkey, yeah, sorry. Or some other polling measure, try and elicit the sense of the town. Given the sensitive nature and difficult time our country finds itself in right now.
Well, isn't, I mean, if the sense of the town is in agreement with this, you don't need the name put in the document because they won't buy Teslas anyway. I mean, they're just not gonna support.
And
the company.
I didn't make that point. It's a personal decision.
It is a personal decision, but everybody has the opportunity to make that decision.
Exactly.
Everybody does.
And anybody can attempt to influence anyone, do not buy Teslas because it is
But that's not quite the
sending
point,
the
though.
wrong message.
It's one thing to say, perhaps, very few people in town will buy Teslas, given the current political situation, what Musk is doing. But for people who do, if we don't have this exception, then they're gonna say, well, under this ordinance you passed, I'm entitled to a subsidy of taxpayer money. And that's what I am not sure, if there's overwhelmingly feelings in town against doing that, then it sort of doesn't matter whether most people aren't gonna buy it, because maybe a few will, and be in a situation where we have to give them the subsidy.
Do we have any other political statements in any of our, ordinances or resolutions or?
Well, sure. I mean, first of all, let's not kid ourselves. Like, the idea of combating climate change is not many people view it as politicized. I know it seems to me that it shouldn't be a partisan issue, but many people view it as a partisan issue. But just the same way that, like, there was heated discussion about racing. I mean, it's parts of the anti-racism resolution were heavily politicized, not necessarily like partisan, like Republican versus Democrat, but just in terms of what you think we should be doing in our politics as a country. Lots of things we do, I don't think, raise that issue, like awarding a landscaping contract, but this is one that does.
Maybe because of the, significance in our time right now, the council could consider putting together a statement like we did for race in support of democracy and, against what's going on and separate it out from this. I mean, I think it's a very important, I agree with Barbara, it's very important. We got to stand up to these things now. And, I think it's important that if that's the majority of how the town feels, that maybe, we should figure out how to do that, but maybe this is not the best vehicle to make that, but make a better statement. If we want to make a political statement as a town about what's going on, then maybe we should do that.
I guess, Mary, I think is, made a pretty significant proposition here. That the town could certainly, if we could reach a consensus, make a statement and use it to guide future decisions. Makes a lot of sense. But going back to this program, I think the program as it's been in existence, the program as it was approved in the town budget, did not include any exclusions with respect to what sort of renewable energy technology or could be used. And I think approving that now without comment is a mistake. I mean, it would exclude the residents from a voice in that decision. Having said that, I'll point out that if you approve this program without this restriction, and anyone here, anyone at all, makes an issue out of this, out of some of the comments that Rob was making and Barbara started, then you could come back and alter this resolution to exclude Teslas. So at this point, at this juncture, I think it's only reasonable to approve the program without this controversial restriction. keeping in mind that you could impose such a restriction at any time
Mhm.
in a separate way, would kind of separate out the argument. This thing was established for reducing the town's carbon footprint, encouraging renewable energy. Okay, and then, however, using it for this particular product is against our other higher held belief that, that company is supporting anti-democratic or whatever sort of policies that we don't agree with. So my suggestion is strip it and see if someone comes forward, in some way it comes forward objecting to the use of the money for Tesla, because at this point, nobody's had a chance to weigh in on this subject, and I don't believe we should delay implementing the program. I think the program should be made continuous. It can be altered at any time.
And to bring it out as a point rather than kind of hidden in this.
Yes, that would make it a very,
pass this and say,
that
well,
would
Jim, we
elevate
did
it to
this.
probably where it
But what
belongs.
we get-
Right, right.
Where in the document is it excluded?
It's in the, sorry, you want me to reshare? I'll show you where
At
it
the
is.
bottom.
Towards the bottom.
It's in the appendix.
It's the appendix. Here it is, page 8. It's up there now.
Search Tesla.
So it's been moved and seconded to approve this resolution. It's been, if someone wants to alter the resolution, we need to motion to amend.
So I make a motion to strike the statement about Tesla's exclusion.
Second. All right, Chris moved and John seconded, removing the third point here. Is there discussion on this? Ready for a vote? All in favor then of removing this restriction? Please raise your hand.
Reluctantly.
I see 3 votes in favor.
Oh.
All opposed?
Okay,
Oh
John.
boy, so this doesn't happen very often.
So-
That means I'm in a position to cast the deciding vote, and I will vote in favor of removing this restriction from the program. So the restriction is, the resolution is amended, so we have the resolution left minus that specification, discussion about the renewable program. We'll move to a vote on renewing the program. All in favor of renewing the program? Then, as this resolution points out, I see, yes, in favor? I see 4 opposed. 2, the program's renewed. With that one change. All right, and I certainly would not be opposed to a discussion as to what the town can do about speaking out or action.
Mhm.
in
How
the
how would
current-
we
in the
do that?
current
Bring that up
environment.
as a
Yeah.
motion, because I would like to.
Yeah,
Yeah, somebody
Yeah.
should
yeah, definitely.
put something.
Put something together,
Clear.
or
Okay.
poll the town, or something that, you can
And they,
generate some discussion over.
yeah, and one of the outcomes of that could be banning Teslas.
Yes, yeah.
And doing it that way,
Right.
I'd much prefer, because I love, when I saw that they put that in there, I loved it. Personally, I thought, wow, that's awesome. We're fighting back a little bit,
Yeah.
but probably we should approach it a little differently.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's,
Dog waste collection station.
sorry.
Oh, no, I was just.
What
reading
we've
the
all been
item.
waiting for, right?
Oh, you.
Oh, perfect time to start that discussion.
What time is it?
Let's just pass it then, because we don't have.
All right, I have to get back to my stop the share here. I could possibly get my. All right, we are now on to the dog waste collection stations. We're not going to discuss this without a motion.
Motion,
Peter,
motion.
Second.
You could have
There
actually,
you go, John.
I've been waiting for this.
you could have made the motion, actually.
I could have.
Yeah,
I gotta sit before a mirror and practice that for a while.
just say motion. You don't have to say what it is.
Oh, okay.
all right, what exactly are you moving?
So the plan A, so we're making the motion to install 4 dog waste stations within the town and hire this company,
Duty call.
Duty Calls, to service the stations, which involves making sure they're cleaned, putting in the bags, and coming on a regular basis to empty those. And the choices are once a week or once every 2 weeks, depending on the pricing. And I'm making the motion, in this I guess I have to make the motion to say that it would be done. Is it weekly or 2 weeks?
Every 2
Every-
weeks.
every
as a
2
trial,
weeks,
and if
as
we
a
find,
trial.
if you
Yeah,
need
we
it more
cut the
frequently
expense,
in
right.
August, then
Right,
how much they reuse.
you forgot the second.
No, John said.
Oh, that's right.
You've already forgotten.
I forgot.
So I have a question. So this is a bid from this company. Did you get bids from?
There
other
is no
companies?
other company that does
Is
it.
that right?
They
Oh.
do.
Not locally, they're the only one.
They do, no pun intended. They do pretty much everything.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I noticed that they use
There are other
DOO
companies,
and
but
all
they
their
don't
literature
service
was
this area.
DO. when
yeah,
they do
yeah.
something.
And their choices in terms of the receptacles, but it just makes sense, over at Amity, they have the ones that are enclosed, the ones that have holes just get smelly, so it's worth the additional expense to get the enclosed ones. Oh, yeah, there we go. The
Yeah,
Admiral,
if you look on Amazon at all the dog stations, that's pretty much at the price that, we're paying.
Yeah.
That's pretty much universal. There isn't much competition at that station. Nah, we looked at, because we were trying to find Roby type ones, and the thing is that we don't, we have no trash cans in town. And which is good, that works out fine, but it does, create a situation where if you don't walk around town, like we're dog walkers. So we.
I'm an ex-dog walker.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, it's just, especially in the winter time, you see it, but it's just disgusting.
So is there?
oh, it's kind of
targeted
across
locations
Dorsey
it looks
Street
like,
in the woods,
based on-
at the end of the,
4 locations to put the
You're gonna
station.
put
the
4 of them in?
path comes out.
Yeah, but that was the plan, is 4,
Yeah, it looks like they're talking about
yeah.
potential locations.
Oh,
Trying to
show
keep
it.
it away from residents, so it's kind of across the street. And
We were actually looking at where the town puts up their signage for all the events. Those are like strategically key areas, and so we've kind of mirrored that.
well, we tried to find
Yeah.
4 locations that were not close to a resident, but were kind of traveled. So the 4 that we came up with, which, you could change, one would be at the end of Washington, end of Grove Avenue, across Brown, so it would be kind of at an intersection, but not near a resident. Another one be near the maintenance shed, because that's already, people are dumping poop in the
Mhm.
can, so outside the gate, kind of by the bamboo would be a location. Rather than in the park, because then people would just throw trash in it, so that would be more for. The other would be possibly where at Dorsey Street, where it comes in and there's a path coming out of the woods.
Mhm.
So kind of where that path comes out, so that's not really near any residents. And the 4th, kind of trying to get this side of town, we thought at the corner of Chestnut and Macaulay, kind of in that, where we put some of the signage, so that would catch some of the.
Yeah, so it's not,
traffic down
yes,
there.
basically right where the majority of dog walkers kind of.
I mean, it would
They
be
go
better
on
if
that
we were
intersection?
closer in town.
Dog walkers go up Macaulay and.
It's
Yeah, a lot of
actually,
people do because they come from Town Crest And from there, they come through. Because that's where we put, and that's a very highly trafficked area around there.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, the other place would be somewhere along Chestnut, but every place that you could put is either kind of a prominent place in a park or near a residence, so it was just kind of hard to find something that wasn't gonna interfere.
Yeah, and when, like, we have a lot of guests that walk their dogs through town.
And I'll
And,
encourage people to pick it up, I mean,
yeah,
if you have a
But they have to
bag
be able
and you
to
have a
see
place
it.
to put
it
it.
has to be the place where they'll see it, you
Right.
know, to do
And
that.
part of what this
Yeah.
company does, is they will help you, they give you flyers to kind of inform how to inform residents wherever they are and what they do. And the importance of picking up, dog waste, for the environment and whatever, so they'll kind of give you educational material for promoting it.
Yeah, and part of the motion was going to be, if John didn't second it so quickly, I would have finished what I was gonna say. No, is that the, we could do this, you know, you have to buy, there's a cost up front, right? You buy the stations, but we could also do this on a trial basis where, if we think it's just not working, then we obviously could just discontinue the service. But I think
You have the
that
stations.
You have the
We
stations.
purchased the
we have to
stations.
purchase the station.
Yeah,
What's that front
voluntary
cost of
payment.
the stations for 4 of
It's like
those?
it's 500. about
500 apiece.
And they provide the bags at
Yeah.
the
Basics.
cost. It's not really, when you think about it, but
The
we've
200
talked to
bags
City
for
Road
$8.
Crossing. And yeah, they say it's really, they have very, very positive.
And we walk over there and you don't see that much stuff
No.
out there, not like you see here, I mean, it really makes a difference.
No. So,
And so,
The 500 includes the servicing?
No,
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 that's,
Like
that's for the-
$60 a month or something? or
It's,
six-
if you do it every other month, it's,
Every other
it
week.
comes out to, every other week, it comes out to about $1,700 for the year. If you do it daily, it's like 2,200 for the year. For them to come
Once a
around,
week, or
once a week is about 20, what is it?
it's not daily, it's once a week or.
Once a week is 31 for the year, every other week is 17.
hmm.
So they come, they clean them, they replace the
we
bags.
could
if you need
adjust
them.
the schedules too.
Yeah, I
right?
mean, I would
Mhm.
say start it
Yeah.
every other week, and then if we, find that we
Yeah.
need it more often, I'm sure they'll do it more frequently.
And if I could just give just feedback from our maintenance people who actually travel over the entire grove. I know Steve, like 2 years ago, was saying how disgusting it is when he cuts the lawn. He literally would get feces, shooting back at him. And then like after that, he said, you know what? I don't care. I go in the shower. It's just, I can't control it. Today, the owner of RJ, Jim Quinn, I didn't bring this up. He even just like mentioned the fact that he knows there's a person that continually leaves a big green, he knew the bag specifically.
Yeah.
where-
People don't want to carry the bags, they'll put it in
Yeah.
the bag, but then they just.
And then the lawnmowers are gonna run it over, but he actually just mentioned that today. And it's just like, if you don't walk the Grove a lot, you don't really see it, but it's disgusting to see piles. It's disgusting to have somebody put that stuff in the bag and then just leave it like some servant's gonna come and somebody's gonna pick it up.
And not everybody's gonna use them, but certainly somebody will, so it's gotta be better than not.
Unless we can get video cameras throughout the Grove.
Or do the DNA
It's-
testing
it's-
like
yeah,
they do.
DNA testing, that's the other option. Yeah.
Mhm.
So come to the meeting on Thursday at 10.
Yeah, the video, yeah.
video surveillance, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well,
I think, as in any thing which,
yeah.
will have. It's hard to predict
Comment.
how successful it will be.
Mhm.
We ought to just do it in a trial way, and I would recommend the council go for 2. Placed in certainly the one on Center makes sense, and then wherever you think is most,
The one where?
the one.
Oh, by the
near
maintenance, yeah.
Center. And then, the other end of, the other proposal was at Brown and Morgan Park, Brown and Maple Avenue, or,
Well, we're paying, it's whether it's right, the service, whether you have 2 or 4, it's just the servicing is the same price, right?
Yeah,
What was that?
Probably, I doubt that there's much of it.
No, because they have to have the person come out here. So we're talking about,
They've quoted you for 4 police stations.
yeah. But I'm saying that the service is on the different,
I don't know, 2 is just not,
and it's like, we're talking about $1,000.
But we shouldn't be talking about that unless there's a motion, unless one of the councilors has a motion for it, so.
So is there not
Well-
a motion that's been introduced?
we
Yeah.
did for 4,
Right, but
With every
John
other
was saying,
Oh,
oh, let's reduce it to 2,
so
so that
somebody
would be,
needs
it
to
would mean we need a
make
motion.
another motion.
If somebody wants to do that.
well, we can, so we can discuss.
Well, only if somebody
Of
makes.
course.
a
In the
motion.
context of 4, you can talk about 2,
Yeah.
but the point is that Barbara's just saying.
We can't vote on
There's
2,
no proposal on 2.
right?
Until there's a formal amendment, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, but talking about 2 could change the way we vote.
Well, I don't,
So-
I think if you're gonna do it for the additional $1,000, it just makes sense to cover most of the areas.
Right.
Mm.
Because they have 2 at Shady Grove Crossing, and they're, much smaller, obviously. They're pretty simple. Well, the other
A point of
thing,
information, once we buy these,
yeah,
There are ours.
we're stuck with them.
yeah.
Take them down or you can, just
Right,
buy
so-
them ourselves.
Well, we need to
sell
show
them,
them
sell
basketball.
them on Craigslist.
Yeah, probably.
You could, for
Put 'em on
$1,000.
Has anybody looked on Craigslist? For all we know, they're.
Well, because sometimes.
They're $200
companies, You lease them from them.
No, you just do buy, you buy
Okay.
them.
Yeah,
You what?
You buy them.
I know, they're,
Yeah.
they're,
yeah.
well, I'm just going to express my opinion. I think it's touch and go whether this will
Yeah,
actually reduce these anecdotal incidents of people just being, being inconsiderate enough not, they put it in a bag and then they leave the bag.
Mhm.
That makes
Some people hang them
makes
in the
no
tree.
sense.
I'll hang them in the tree.
Yeah, well, you can never tell
What?
where your dog is gonna need to relieve himself now. If you're 5 blocks or, so many streets away from one of these stations,
Yeah.
if they're not carrying it back home, they're not gonna carry it to the
Well,
station.
that's true.
That is, they will just not. 'Cause
That's not
they-
true
they-
because
don't think that's-
we
yeah.
walk, when we
Yeah.
walk our dogs, we will go specifically over to the ones that are at the end of Amity to
Uh-huh.
deposit our bags, so we don't have to take them on. I mean, that's just the
Yes, if
reality
you
of.
design your route to go by.
To go
you're
buy
saying,
one,
yeah.
yes.
And-
Rather
and
than
they
carry.
have-
Yeah, they have them all through the town. They have probably about 10 or 12. and we have them
Oh,
everywhere.
when we had a dog, you could never tell when Reese was,
no, but you always have I always have a bag in my.
he always had a bag, but
Every-
not just carried
every
it
time I-
around town until we got back
I
home.
don't know, our dog, you just said go now.
Can we call the question here? Let's vote on it.
Yeah. Okay, just let's summarize what we're in for. It's, there's a cost for the bags, which looks trivial. It may be an ongoing cost, but for the annual cost, it's about $1,800. This doesn't include tax, so call it 2,000. And the cost of the 4 stations about 2,500, so 4,500 is the fiscal impact. Plus, we have to get them installed.
That's.
They're installing.
They install them,
Okay, so there's no
It's-
extra expense for installing.
And that's cleaning every 2 weeks.
yes.
And that's for a year. And if we gave it up, you wouldn't spend all of that $2,000 annual.
Right, and there's no fixed term contract,
Hmm.
cancellation of services requires a 30-day written notice.
Yeah. Mhm.
So
That's great.
Mhm.
easy to get out of.
Mhm. And there also is, because I was reading up on this, when you look at the numbers, the environmental impact of them disposing of it versus it going in, I'm sure they exaggerate, but it's still pretty impressive. And I think that this could, we could probably get Bob.
Yeah,
to
it's a
support
sustainability,
this
yeah.
also. Sustainability.
These are not biodegradable bags or anything like that.
We don't say,
Yeah.
we say they're.
Yeah, that's Anybody else have any other comments?
No,
Move to a vote on the purchase and installation of 4 Admiral Bellevue waste stations and the service to pick up the waste bi-weekly. Favor?
Oh. Oh.
It's unanimous.
Wow, yeah.
Yay.
Approved. So, let's see, the mechanics of this.
They sent me the proposal,
Hopefully this is
We'll
on-
authorize
okay?
you just.
How long were you waiting?
I could go on.
You could go on?
Okay, and if there's there's no contract, is there a contract? And I need to.
Yeah, I'll call them and,
I need to sign the contract.
Okay.
We're going to, we've been loosey goosey about some of these contracts. They really need to be signed by, me or Jean, or my authority. Okay,
Alright.
and just so we can be clear, are those the locations okay for everybody that we propose? Was that part of the?
I mean, I
proposal?
think this one should be on Grove Road, but on the park side. I don't know what you're worried about. I mean, it has to be visible and it has to be accessible.
No, that's fine. Yeah, I was just,
I don't-
I just didn't, I just thought.
I
we could put
would
it back there.
definitely
That's
put
fine.
it on the road, visible.
Okay.
Well, but they'll come in and they will give us advice also about it.
They don't know our.
They don't.
What kind of advice can't be useful.
They would move too, though, right, if we asked.
Yeah, they'll move.
Well, that's the other thing is they could.
We don't never know.
They don't have to move them. We can have.
You never know. You're never gonna know when we put them in.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll have midnight dog wait. So,
The one that's going in front of your house, by the way.
yeah, put it in front of Peter's house.
I already have a poop station at my house.
Okay,
Where
great.
does this go in the budget, John?
Sorry.
Where is this going in the budget?
Where is it going?
Under dog waste. Okay. We'll have to find a slush fund to.
A slush
Absorb.
fund? We don't have slush funds, John.
Oh, sorry, we'll have to find a budget category to handle dog waste. Probably it could be park maintenance, we're maintaining grounds by,
Okay.
by, reducing animal waste.
F&D should come out of beautification.
But we're on to council reports, of which there are none. Yes,
New business?
under new business.
All right.
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've had, the town has had a few phone calls asking if any kind of service for big gigantic limbs are going to be provided, or not leaves, limbs.
limbs,
And,
yeah.
They know the big trees are being taken care of,
Yeah.
but there's been a lot of waste, trash, not trash, but limbs and leaves from I can't speak today.
The
Oh,
wind
they-
storm.
Farms.
Yeah, yeah.
You mean?
Down
oh,
tree limb debris. actually.
Storms, we would do that.
Yeah.
Right, but that's what who took care of, Tom Laws took care of the tree outside.
This is this is stuff on their property they're talking about,
Oh.
not the town. We're picking up,
Huge
yeah.
amounts of people
Yeah,
have
people are
concerns.
asking.
And who who are these inquiries from?
From the town.
Residents.
Residents,
Yeah.
residents.
Something like that, or is it something that they had to get rid of, they
Yeah,
don't know.
yeah.
Yeah.
We don't collect
We used to,
private,
after big
well, that
storms.
was quite a while ago.
Well,
That was the director.
We don't do it, so
Okay.
the answer is no. We could contract for a service, to, as needed, that is, a storm comes through and lots of stuff appears on the side of the roads. Certainly, I saw plenty of
Oh,
residents
no, but it was.
dragging
I
branches
didn't have dinner, so that's
out
really-
to the road from their property.
Yeah, yeah.
So those will be collected. Unless we drag them back.
You mean because it's already included in the waste in the contract.
No,
No, it's not.
because RJ doesn't know
No.
whether it's stuff.
We will contract with RJ to pick up all the limbs on the road, along the road.
Well, they can't cut the grass. Yeah, they have to pick it up.
So we'll-
They are.
Something bulletin about that.
No. Well, that's the question, is RJ can provide that service, but you know, that's,
not-
you have to,
I
we have to
mean,
pay for
We
it.
would have to,
Yeah, we have to pay extra for that.
we would have to,
It's an amenity we could offer our citizens if we wanted to, you know, to do that, but we have
You're talking
to.
about the recent storm that came
Yeah.
through, people are needing that service now, that's what it sounds like, so.
Some
Would
people.
we?
But then every time somebody has a problem with a tree or something,
Well, I mean, this is.
yeah,
This is.
well, yeah, but.
yeah, no, it's like.
Not different. Okay, so here's what we do about that. We will, I'm just a proposal,
Mhm.
we can schedule a vegetation debris, I don't know how you call it, tree limb pickup
Yeah,
for whatever date RJ you can arrange with RJ, we'll send out an alert that anything that came down, if it's on the roadway on that day, it will be picked up.
Great.
yeah, I think that, would- yeah. I think
Okay,
that-
to get the date though, we need them to agree they can sweep through the town and get whatever they have already.
They do it anyway, but yeah, but people, I mean, people could just like go and take. It could be abused, that's the only problem, and it could get ridiculous, but people collect all that junk and wait for a storm, seriously. Because
So you
it's,
don't pick that up.
what's that?
They should-
You don't know
Yeah.
you don't know what.
No,
No.
here's what we'll do, if Jim can do it.
Yeah.
Later this week,
Yeah,
it'll be fresh stuff, anything that's dried will not be picked up. This is only storm
well, we trust our residents.
stuff,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I mean, I can't go back there, I collect a pile of branches and stuff, and I just pile up the branches. And eventually it'll get big enough where I'll have to haul them away.
Mhm.
All right, but I'm not putting them out for anybody else to haul away, and those,
Yeah.
I wouldn't pull those out because they're not
Mhm.
live. I mean, you can tell the difference between
Right.
something's been there for a year and something
Mhm.
just fell
Yeah.
last
So
week.
people call it storm debris.
Storm debris,
Storm debris,
exactly.
yeah, yeah.
That's, thank you.
And we only have.
Okay, all right.
And we only have like one or two of those a year.
Yeah,
so,
they'll just do it,
Yeah.
because it's obviously, there was a lot
Yeah,
of stuff.
okay.
It's still around.
So in new business, you already mentioned this, so I just want to give a quick update of the basketball court, if that's okay.
Sure.
Can I do that? Okay, so we've Steve and I met with two, and I met with the third. So 3 vendors have come in to look at the courts. The bids are, the pricing they gave us is 32,000, 24,000, and 15,000. Sounds just like the RJ bids. And it's very different things that they're gonna do. I sent Rob, I basically I took the stormwater proposal and basically cleaned it out, and all it's saying is resurface the basketball court. And so all these 3 vendors have all come and looked at it. So it's basically, unlike doing the service for the town, this is basically apples and apples, because it's a court, it's got a big crack going through it, and it's gotta be resurfaced. And all 3 have different styles for what they're doing. And so I would like to get this off my plate. And so what I'd like to do is, with Rob's help, maybe, confirm that the RFP looks okay and send it out to these 3 companies, and they can respond back. And then we can have a discussion and move forward with it. And I know we're not gonna have the funding until the next fiscal year,
Right.
but I don't wanna wait 1,000 years to get this done. I just wanna get done with it. And all the work's been done. And the expense of asphalt is going up like crazy. And so the $15,000 is a fantastic bid. And Steve, Steve liked the company, what they're gonna do. I think that, we could pick which of the 3, we wouldn't spend 30,000, that's great. But I think that, the sooner we do it, the better it's gonna be as far as, saving money. Plus, it's gonna look great. It'd be nice if we could have it done before the summer is over. That's it.
So are you gonna bring the draft RFP to the council for approval?
I don't know how, I was just gonna
That's
go with
what I
Rob,
think-
Dr. Rob, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll get it circulated in time for next meeting.
Yeah, if we could do it, but yes, if we can do it by the next meeting, and if there's anything I can do in advance, I don't know what that would be, but I'll talk to John and Rob and see, and yeah, we can move forward with that then. But it's like pretty first I thought it was a waste of time and money, but then when I never really looked at the court that carefully, and it is disgusting. And it's really, the playground looks nice, it's like, everything is really coming together nicely. And the playground committee is very enthused about what they're doing, so I think this will give them some motivation too. So, good. Thank you. What's next?
Okay,
What's next? This is a record meeting for us, isn't it?
no.
It could be.
And
Hey,
well,
hey,
um,
sounds like a
I
challenge.
seem to recall a very short meeting presided over by Mr.
Yeah.
Rondo. About an hour shorter than this, right?
Oh, we're on
Wow.
to the next
A
meeting.
lot of stuff.
Yes.
there.
so the next meeting
There's a lot of
will
stuff.
be June 9th on Monday at 7:30, a hybrid meeting preceded
Hmm.
by the public hearing on the fence ordinance 2025-03.
All right.
And anything else? Hearing none, we'll adjourn. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks.
Have a great one, everyone.
Time for dinner now.